Welcome back to Talkin Shop. I'm Eric.
I'm Greg.
And, so I know you've probably only seen the one trailer from Fandom this weekend, which was the Batman trailer.
I am vengeance.
So let's start with that.
Okay,
This whole podcast is gonna be about the Fandom, because I want to gush about this shit.
Okay,
it looks so exciting.
I guess I'll just get it out of the way now. I owe an apology to Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, I think we all do, honestly.
I don't think I bashed it. I think I just said because of what happened with Heath Ledger's Joker,
right.
I'd give him a chance on Batman.
You always got to give a new actor a chance with that.
Okay. I know it's just a trailer and whatnot,
right.
but from the bit you see, holy shit.
Oh, yeah, he looks
I don't know what
great as Batman.
So the dude he beats up right before he says, I'm vengeance, I've watched Batman beat up countless thugs before.
You've played as Batman beating up countless thugs before.
I've seen, played, watched,
read.
There was something about the ass beating he gave
that dude got a definitive fucking whooping.
That's like...
That dude is gonna be in the hospital for months.
After he fell down, he punched him while he was on the ground a couple times. Like World Star would have been like, all right, that's enough.
Yeah, no, I'm super looking forward to the Batman just because, again, like you said, it's good to give actors a chance, especially when they haven't had a good track record in the past. There's always been a trend of actors being boycotted for playing Batman or any Batman character, because even Michael Keaton got lambasted a little bit. There were people who didn't want him to play Batman because the last movie he did before that was Mr. Mom, and they couldn't see him as Batman.
Yeah.
And on the one hand, yeah, kind of makes sense.
Well, there's always that one role. If some actors are lucky in that too, like Harrison Ford, he's Han Solo, but he's also Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Those are the two monikers that, despite his whole long career, those are what you attribute him to.
Exactly.
And then there's the actors like Daniel Radcliffe. He is Harry Potter until the day he dies.
Yeah, pretty much.
Emma Watson, she is Hermione Granger until the day she dies. And then you get into, all right, well, when those franchises, whether it be Star Wars, Indy, Harry Potter,
when they start dying off,
when they end, and the actors have to move into new stuff, it's like you subliminally have to break that box that they're trapped in.
Exactly.
It's like when I watched The Lady in Black.
Ooh.
Actually a decent horror movie in my opinion, but when I watched The Lady in Black, it was Daniel Radcliffe, and I'm like, and just the whole movie, I'm like, why is Harry Potter? It's just, you can't break.
So there's two other Daniel Radcliffe movies that I feel are kind of in that same vein, because I know a lot of people really like Horns. I haven't seen Horns, but I've heard he's amazing in that movie.
I haven't either, but apparently it's really, really good.
And then there's Swiss Army Man.
I haven't seen that.
I haven't either. It's on HBO, I think. So
is that the one where he's in the bathrobe and the bare feet?
No, that's Guns Akimbo.
Oh, okay.
Where he gets the guns bolted to his hands. Yeah, that's Guns Akimbo.
Okay.
Swiss Army Man, I think he plays he's a corpse the entire movie, but he's used as basically a human Swiss Army knife by this other dude trying to make it back to the mainland.
Lord.
It's really funny. But yeah. No, I'm totally willing to give every actor in Batman a chance to really prove themselves to live up to this potential, because Zoe Kravitz, I already know, is a really good actress. I've seen a few things with her in it. I think she's going to do great as Catwoman. I think Colin Farrell's going to do really good as the Penguin. Robert Pattinson is a fucking shock.
Yeah.
I honestly wasn't expecting much because, again, I've seen 3 Robert Pattinson movies. One of them is Twilight. So
I have to assume that the tape guy is Hush.
It's not.
Okay.
It's Riddler.
It is Riddler.
It is. Yep.
Dark Riddler.
Oh, yeah.
Because the only Riddler I ever experienced was Jim Carrey's Riddler. And that whole fucking movie was...
Thanks, Joel Schumacher.
When the director apologizes for making the movie, when Joel Schumacher says, I'm sorry, I needed the money.
No, yeah, exactly. Honestly, I'm not going to give Robert Pattinson too much of the benefit of the doubt as Batman, because all he has to do is be better than George Clooney.
which is not.
He
gonna be
has
hard.
to be. Yeah, he has to be better than George Clooney, and I'll automatically put him in the list as good Batman. But like, yeah, the Batman I'm super excited for. I want to see just how like dark and gritty and crime noir this movie fucking gets, because this, honestly, just from the first trailer alone, is the Batman movie I've been waiting for years now.
Because in my opinion, there hasn't been a gritty, dark Batman since Keaton. Because Keaton's Batman was like, if somebody took a photo of him, he like broke the camera and shit.
Yeah.
But then
Bale's Batman is more of a gritty realism instead of gritty comic book.
Yeah.
And that works in its own regard, but like I still have a lot of problems with Chris Nolan's trilogy overall. I don't hate any of the movies in the trilogy. I think the third one is the weakest of the three, but yeah, it's pretty weak. Because, you know, how can you turn Bane, one of the best Batman villains ever made, into someone's fucking lackey? Again. Because he was also in Batman and Robin. And he was Poison Ivy's lackey in that one.
Yeah, it's like...
Bane is one of the smartest Batman villains out there, and you turn him into somebody's fucking lackey.
He's both a hyper genius and hyper strong because of the Titan formula.
Yeah, exactly.
But, you know.
So, like, honestly, if these movies keep being made, like, if I keep seeing Robert Pattinson Batman movies after this, I want them to go a little more comic booky. I want them to bring in villains that you wouldn't see in something like Chris Nolan's series, like Clayface.
You know,
I would kill to see another crime noir Batman movie where he has to figure out this string of murders where there's a little bit of clay residue at every scene. He has to figure out why it's there. And then he meets Clayface. That'd be fucking cool. That would be so cool.
Yeah. You know, with the hodgepodge of Batman villains that there are,
it's a shame there's only like 4 of them that are ever used.
Yeah, I mean, Bane's used, obviously Joker's used.
Joker, Two-Face on occasion.
Two-Face.
Poison Ivy, and Penguin, Catwoman. Catwoman toes the line.
She's a a weird one, ally / villain, but there's about a half dozen villains that they just kind of churn the movies around. But it's like
because they're
you forget about Mad Hatter, you forget about Great White, you forget about Hush, you forget about
Hush, Azrael, Deacon Blackfire. Even Deacon Blackfire is a super cool villain. Hugo Strange.
I thought Azrael.
Ra's al Ghul was in one movie, and he died. Talia was in one movie, and she died.
Well, at the end of The Dark Knight Begins or Batman Begins, they say they didn't find a body.
Yeah, but they could they could have done something with that. They could have brought Ra's back, but they didn't. They didn't bring him back, and that's a fucking shame.
Yeah, because I mean, Spider-Man has has a menagerie of villains.
Yeah,
and Batman's like, all right, here's the 5 you get to choose from.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they're the only ones that casual fans and up.
They make money, and if you try to bring in more obscure villains and other like anti-hero characters, like say Lady Shiva or Katana or Cluemaster,
kind of a
Sportsmaster.
Unfortunate, but a good example. Birds of Prey.
Yeah, bringing in Black Mask is such a cool concept, and Zaz. Bringing them both in is great, but that's one of the biggest problems I had with Birds of Prey is that they killed off the main villain. And I hate that we've gotten back to the point that we have to end this superhero movie with them killing the villain or the villain dying somehow.
Yeah.
Because there's no way you can bring them back for a sequel for whatever godly reason.
Yeah.
Like, Black Panther did it. Thor Ragnarok did it.
Yeah.
All 3
He
Thor
killed himself, to be fair.
All 3 Thor movies did that. Fucking Birds of Prey, Batman v Superman, Man of Steel. Not Wonder Woman, technically, because Ares didn't die. But that's fine. Suicide Squad, nobody really died. Except for Enchantress's brother. Shazam, Savannah didn't die. Orm didn't die in Aquaman. So it's very hit or miss.
In Suicide Squad, the climber guy died.
Well, yeah, Slipknot died, but in a cast full of villains, you can excuse
Slipknot died. I can't remember his name. But like the guy the pyrotechnic guy, he sacrificed himself.
Diablo died.
Diablo, that's it. Like, people died in that movie.
Yeah, but when your villains are main characters, that doesn't count. I mean, like, the
Yes,
main...
it does.
No, I mean, like, the main villain of the movie. Like, that kind of thing. Marvel has kind of shied away from that in recent years, up until recently, because you can't possibly keep Thanos alive after Endgame. But, like, I hate that we've reached a point where we've circled back to, oh, how are we gonna finish this movie? The villain's gonna die somehow. The hero might kill them, they might kill themselves. Who knows? Who cares?
Usually it's somehow they kill themselves because they don't want the whole, oh, the villain still needs to be a good person, and killing, even if they deserve it, isn't blah, blah, blah.
Like, that's just something I hate about superhero media, because, like, that means they're gonna run out of villains at some point for any character. Like, I'm gonna bring this up. Captain America does not have a lot of his own personal villains outside of Red Skull, a couple other Hydra people, and Crossbones. Red Skull and Crossbones are both fucking... Well, Red Skull's not dead, but he's not a Captain America villain anymore in the MCU. And Crossbones is fucking dead. So, like, if they wanted to make a fourth Captain America movie, what fucking villain would they be able to use?
They'd have to make a new one.
Yeah. Like, you'd have to make up a new villain or bring in some other obscure character that nobody fucking knows, because Captain America is a much more popular character now, but that doesn't mean people are going to go out and read Captain America comics like that.
So, just to related, but a bit of a backtrack to the Joker.
Right.
I saw a chart the other day as far as appearances in films and that film's earnings.
Yeah, nobody rivals the Joker.
Joker is the most money-making character of all time.
Because, like, the Adam West Batman had Joker. The first Tim Burton movie had Joker.
Mm-hmm.
The Dark Knight, Mask of the Phantasm.
The Joker standalone movie just
Joker
made a...
standalone movie, Suicide Squad. They made buttloads of fucking money because the Joker's in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the Joker. The Joker's a cool villain. But my God, is he fucking oversaturated in media right now? It's nuts.
Yes, he is. But at the same time, there are just those people, heroes and villains alike, where the world just can't get enough of them. Like Wolverine. People can't get enough Wolverine. People can't get enough.
I swear to God, if Marvel makes their X-Men movie and they put Wolverine in that fucking movie, I'm boycotting it.
They're gonna.
I'm boycotting that movie.
They're going to.
No,
it's Wolverine.
They can't. Because I'm not going to have another Wolverine in the X-Men situation where it's the Wolverine story and not X-Men. It's fucking X-Men.
Nobody cares about the X-Men. They care about Wolverine.
The X-Men are so cool, though, outside of Wolverine.
I mean,
There's a lot of really cool X-Men characters.
I'm not denying that. I'm not saying...
But the general movie-going audience isn't going to want to see an X-Men movie that doesn't have Wolverine. And I get that.
Would you rather watch Wolverine for 2 hours, or would you rather watch Cyclops for 2 hours?
Cyclops alone, I would hate that movie. But Cyclops with the team? Yeah, I'd watch that. X-Men First Class had a Wolverine cameo that I don't think was in any of the trailers, and people still went and saw that movie and went, holy shit, that was a good movie. Wolverine had a short cameo, but he wasn't in the movie at fucking all. And they made a good X-Men movie. Fucking mind-blowing that you can make an X-Men movie without fucking Wolverine in it. And it can make money. You just have to get a good script and a good director and good actors. That's it. That's all you need to do.
Oh, in order to make a good movie, you have to have a good director, actors, and script. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Isn't that funny? But, no, but yeah, the Batman I'm excited for. I am looking forward to when that comes out. I heard they're doing more filming. They're going to pick up filming again next month. Mm-hmm. So hopefully it'll be out probably around this time next year, if not close to winter. If not close to winter. But yeah, the Batman. Super excited for that. Wonder Woman 1984.
I don't give a fuck about Wonder Woman.
They just released a new trailer for it. It fully showed Cheetah. Oh boy. I am excited.
I just can't bring myself to give a shit about Wonder Woman. I can't.
I mean, that's fair.
I mean,
no writer on the planet, unless they are like diehard Wonder Woman fans, knows what the fuck to do with Wonder Woman.
Notice, there's a difference between I don't like Wonder Woman and I can't bring myself to, like,
even
just
tolerate her.
Just because I don't actively watch her comics, or read her comics and like watch her films does not mean I dislike the character. It's literally the polar opposite of I have no opinion of her.
Yeah. I think Wonder Woman's really cool. I've never read any of her solo stuff, but I read a lot of stuff that she like ties into. Like I've read a lot of Justice League Dark, which is really good. Has her on a magic-based team with Swamp Thing, Man-Bat, Detective Chimp, and Zatanna. And it's really fucking cool. It's super interesting to have her like go into those magic roots, and it's actually somebody doing something with Wonder Woman for once. Because oh my god, Wonder Woman I think is like the lowest seller out of DC's Trinity because nobody knows what to do with her.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what to do with her.
Quadrology, because Shazam.
No. DC's Trinity. Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. Oh. They're the faces of DC.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, whatever.
Yeah, the Avengers have Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man. DC has Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. That's their Trinities.
Really, they have Batman and Superman, because nobody gives a fuck about Wonder Woman.
Yeah, that's true. But no, Wonder Woman 1984 I'm kind of excited for. Did you see Wonder Woman? Did you see the first movie?
Fuck no.
Okay. Well,
I saw her cameo in Batman v Superman.
Spoilers for Wonder Woman. In the comics, her main love interest is a U.S. agent named Steve Trevor. The movie takes place in World War II. Steve dies at the end of the movie, but he's back in 1984. And I'm wondering how they're doing that, how that's a thing, because there's two villains in 84. There's Cheetah, and then there's Maxwell Lord. Max Lord is a super cool villain in the comics, and I'm wondering if he has something to do with it. Like they're not saying much about what's going on with the movie itself outside of, oh, here's your two main villains, here's Wonder Woman doing cool shit.
Is that just a new thing to have 2+ villains per movie? Can you just not have a fucking 1v1 anymore? Dark Knight, it was Two-Face and Joker. On movies that matter, Eric.
Yeah.
There was Dark Knight, he had Joker and Two-Face.
I was like, Batman Begins,
all the Spider-Man movies, there's been more than one.
I don't know. Green Goblin was the sole villain of Spider-Man 1. Doc Ock was the sole villain of 2. Recent one. Well, there's a main villain, and then there's the secondary villains that help back up the main villain.
Like there's still secondary.
Like Homecoming.
The Joker never needs a secondary. I mean, you could.
You can have Harley Quinn.
I was gonna say you might technically have to count Harley Quinn as the quote backup.
Like in Homecoming, I like the way that they incorporated characters like Scorpion, Tinkerer, and Shocker into the main crew because they're people that are helping Adrian Toomes with his full goal of becoming the Vulture. The Vulture's still the main villain, and he gets the most development. But it's not like all the other characters are just kind of like shafted to the sidelines as a quick blinking and missing cameo. They actually have importance in the plot. They just don't fight Spider-Man directly. Far From Home only had one villain. It had Mysterio.
I mean, Suicide Squad had that brief Flash cameo about the guy who fucks unicorns, but
yeah, like no, I totally get that. Like, there's a lot of superhero movies that have like more than one villain. Like, like just in recent memory alone, Avengers Infinity War had Thanos and the entire Black Order, so that's 5 villains. Ant-Man and the Wasp had 2 villains. Thor Ragnarok had 2 villains, except one of them only pops up at the beginning and the end.
Yeah.
3 villains, actually, because there was Hela, the Grandmaster, kinda.
I would call him a villain. Well, I mean, he was a villain, but he wasn't like
he's chaotic neutral, pretty much. He's chaotic neutral.
Jeff Goldblum's whatever he wants to be.
That's true. But yeah, no, I totally get that. But like, yeah, Wonder Woman 1984, super pumped for that. I don't know when it's coming out, but I'm looking
Shazam
forward to it.
2.
Did you see the subtitle for it?
No.
Fury of the Gods.
Fury of the Gods. It's confirmed that The Rock's Black Adam is going to be in it.
Speaking of, the concept trailer for Black Adam that DC released, there's 4 members of the original Justice Society of America that show up in the movie to fight Black Adam. Hawkman.
Okay.
Dr. Fate.
Okay.
Cyclone and Atom Smasher. I'm more excited about Hawkman and Dr. Fate because they have ties to Egyptian mythology, and Kahndaq is pretty close to Egypt. So, like, I'm really excited to see how they tie in, and I do want to see The Rock as Black Adam. I think he's a perfect choice for the character.
Well, when they announced that he was gonna be Black Adam, I follow him on a lot of social medias, and he posted this super long thing. He's like, I grew up reading comics. I was a nerd before I was a gym rat. I loved Black Adam. He's like, I get to play the guy I grew up reading.
It's always
about.
my favorite thing is actors who like grew up reading a certain superhero and go, holy shit, I get to play this superhero.
Yeah.
Like, all 3 Spider-Men that we've had, all 3 live-action Spider-Men, loved Spider-Man as kids.
Tobey Maguire's in talks to be Spider-Man again.
I know, in Multiverse of Madness.
Multiverse of Madness.
I'm so excited to have him back, even as just a quick cameo.
Nightmare!
Oh, that's going to be great. But yeah, no, Tobey Maguire was a huge fan of Spider-Man. Andrew Garfield was a huge fucking fan of Spider-Man as a kid. Like,
yeah, he was.
He went to the announcement panel at Comic-Con when they announced Amazing Spider-Man
in like a
shitty Spider-Man costume, and he was like, "Thanks for rooting for me," and like, I'm really excited to play this character.
Takes it off.
Yeah, and then there's Tom Holland, who's like, "I get to be Spider-Man."
Yeah, I mean, Andrew had shit films, but he still liked being Spider-Man.
And like, what's amazing is that like, most actors, like, especially if they started the MCU, say, back in, like, the mid-90s, most of the actors wouldn't give two shits about studying the character and, like, looking into them before playing them.
No.
Nowadays, every actor who gets a part in the MCU really takes this shit seriously.
Well, yeah.
And the DCEU. These people take it so seriously because not only do you have to appeal to a general audience, you have to appeal to the people that the movie is made for. People like you and me.
Well, perfect example. I mean, one superhero movie, DC, Marvel, other, doesn't matter, can either break or revive your career. Perfect example, Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr.
Before he played Iron Man in 2008,
2008.
he was like a fucking...
He was a cokehead.
He was a cokehead.
Massive cokehead.
Arrested multiple times, in and out of rehab multiple times. Like,
yeah, his career was in a downward spiral, too.
Nobody gave a shit about him anymore. He was just burning through his money. And the director of the film owed his dad a favor. And that's how he got the role of Tony Stark.
And now
he's completely
an international icon.
He's clean, he's sober, he's one of the most beloved people in Hollywood. And it rebirthed his career.
Yeah.
And I'm super happy for him.
It's fucking amazing.
But holy shit, the power some of these roles have.
And it's amazing some of the actors that have reached that superstar fame just by being in these movies.
I genuinely fucking forgot that Chris Evans was the Human Torch before he was Captain America.
I'll say, before he was Captain America, he was in, both those Fantastic Four movies. He was in The Losers. He was in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World.
He was.
Like, he was in these movies that were kind of niche and, like,
I mean,
exactly... And they were all based on comic books, too.
I mean, like, so, like they weren't, like, busts. They made money, but they weren't, like... Not a lot of people saw Scott Pilgrim.
But now that he's Captain America, he's reached superstar status.
Yeah.
And Scarlett Johansson, great actress. Really, really good actress.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know a single fucking movie she was in until she was in Iron Man 2. I seriously didn't. I had never seen a Scarlett Johansson movie before then. And now, again, superstar status. Jeremy Renner. Fucking Paul Bettany. Paul Bettany's had very good roles post Age of Ultron because he's now a well-known name.
Paul Rudd, Mark Ruffalo.
I mean, Paul Rudd's always been just kind of...
He was in Paul, so I like Paul.
I was like, Paul Rudd, I feel, is a bit of an exception because he did have like a pretty solid career before Ant-Man, but it wasn't really all that credible because like a lot of his movies were teen rom-coms or just straight up like he was a comedy actor for the most part because fucking Wet Hot American Summer, Clueless, all these movies, he was in them, and he's a well-known name for like teenage girls. But like now that he's Ant-Man, now everybody fucking knows him.
Yeah.
Everybody. And like again, some stars faded away into obscurity, doing like bit parts and like small roles, and then they got into Marvel, and now bam, their career got jump started again. Like Evangeline Lilly, you go from Lord of the Rings to Marvel.
Yeah,
that's 2 huge franchises right
jump.
there.
That's a good jump.
Again, J.K. Simmons, you went from Marvel to DC, and now you're back to Marvel. Like,
dude,
that shit's that's incredible.
Do you want to know some shit? Do you know who they originally wanted to play Gandalf? Sean Connery. They wanted.
Yeah, he passed up on that because he was like.
He passed on it. They said, "We'll give you 10% of the film's gross earnings."
Holy fuck!
Which he still turned out. It would have been like 300 million or something like that. And
if he had made those movies, he would have had to retire, and then we wouldn't have had League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Because he said he didn't get the script. That was his. He said, "Well, I didn't get the script, so I turned it down." It's like, dude, give me a fucking script in Latin for $300 million.
Yeah, right?
I
will straight up learn and translate Latin just so I understand what the fuck I'm saying.
But then Sir Ian McGinnis got it, and he was like, "Oh, I grew up reading Talkin, so."
Yeah. Yeah, no, like, I think it's wonderful. But yeah, actually, speaking of other planned things in development for DC, now that I thought about Black Adam, they are going ahead with pre-production on the solo Flash movie. It is Flashpoint. Ben Affleck and Michael Keaton are both confirmed to be returning as their respective Batman for this movie. Ezra Miller has a new suit that looks a lot like the new 52 Flash suit, with like the yellow pipework and shit.
Do you think
I think it might actually be a good movie. I hate Ezra Miller.
I'm trying to picture. I mean, I know they're way behind on Marvel, but if DC could pull it off in a way where, not this movie, but further down the line, they do their own version of Multiverse of Madness, where it's like 3 Batman. And
I think that's pretty much what they're doing now, actually, is instead of following the straight Marvel formula of an interconnected universe, because they realized how badly that bombed after 3 movies, they've decided that their expanded universe is going to be a multiverse, pretty much. Because, like, Joker is in its own universe. The Batman is in its own universe.
Yep.
And, like, you still have the mainstay DCEU films. You know, Wonder Woman's getting a sequel. Shazam takes place in the DCEU. Aquaman, Black Adam, the new Flash movie. They all take place within the regular expanded universe. But, like, there's no real timeline to when they happen and when they take place. Some of it could be pre-Justice League, some of it's post, some of it's in a nebulous void.
DC.
Some of it's the Suicide Squad,
which
is James Gunn's soft reboot sequel.
I didn't know why a lot of people shit on the Suicide Squad.
Oh my god, it's such a bad movie.
And then I watched it.
Yeah, it's a bad movie.
I'm like, wait. They tell them in the beginning, if you leave this radius, this collar will blow off your head, and Slipknot tries to run away.
Oh, there's a lot of characters like that in Suicide Squad. Like, there's always one.
Then he blows up. I'm like, alright, well, that's one down. Diablo sacrifices himself. I actually like Diablo.
Diablo was cool.
I wish I kind of did a little bit more with him. Enchantress
was a really bad villain.
Yeah.
She was so boring.
Yeah, I'm like, wait. There's this all-powerful, like, what's the term I'm looking for? Not hundreds of years, but thousands of years.
Yeah.
Not centuries, but...
Millennia.
Millennia old witch
who
can teleport to, like, the other side of the earth and back in seconds. And she gets...
Nigh omnipotent power.
Like, they play the whole we don't know what she can do, so she can have every power card. And... fucking Harley Quinn just hits her in the heart with a bat. Are you fucking kidding me?
Well, let's put it this way. The way Amanda Waller sets it up is this is meant to be a squad of villains that are on their payroll to fight Superman-level threats. You're telling me a dude who shoots really good, a chick whose husband's spirit is trapped in her sword, and some murderous clown bitch are gonna fight fucking Superman?
Well, don't forget, shoots fire from his hands.
I mean, Diablo has a chance because I'm sure his powers are magical in origin. So
and
like
Captain Boomerang.
Yeah, are you telling me Captain Boomerang's just gonna throw a fucking like bomberang at him or something and it's gonna hurt Superman? Fucking what?
Yeah.
Like, I don't get it. But yeah, The Suicide Squad, James Gunn's soft reboot sequel to Suicide Squad, has an amazing cast.
And Harley's Joker was ass. So.
Oh my god, that Joker sucked. Oh my god. I was not one of those people who wanted Zack Snyder's Justice League just because I hated Justice League. I am going to see Zack Snyder's, though, when it comes to HBO Max. But I want an Ayer cut of Suicide Squad. I want to know what David Ayer's original vision for that movie was before DC decided to give it to some trailer house to butcher it. I want to know what that fucking movie looked like before they got the wrong editing team. It could be a way better movie. It could also be just as bad. But at least it might actually make some coherent sense.
Well, I just look at, like, the characters, and I look at the dialogue, and I look at that stuff. It's like, how much better could it really have been?
Yeah.
Like Katana. I wish they did more with her. Like, okay,
Katana's super cool.
Okay, she's kind of bitchy, but she's like a master swords person. Alright, cool. Captain Boomerang, I mean, you know, the unicorn is funny and all that. But it's like, what the fuck? Apart from comedic relief, what are you here for?
Yeah, right? Yeah, so the cast for The Suicide Squad. Here's the main actors. It's a big cast, too. It's a big cast of well-known actors and their characters. So Margot Robbie's back as Harley Quinn.
She was
the best part of the movie.
She was.
She's
the
best Harley Quinn we've gotten in any form of media outside of probably the Harley Quinn animated series, because I actually really like that Harley.
That's such a good fucking series.
Oh my god, it's so funny.
Then there was the Harley Quinn you showed me, and when her Batman and Robin team up.
Oh yeah, in Batman and Harley Quinn. Yeah,
don't pull your love out on me, baby. That was or Nightwing, but that was a fun one.
Yeah. So yeah, Margot Robbie's back as Harley Quinn. Joel Kinnaman is back as Rick Flag. He was the big tough soldier man. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Idris Elba is playing a character named Bloodsport. Alice Braga is playing a character named Sol Soria. Pete Davidson is Blackguard.
Wait, the Pete Davidson I'm thinking of?
The comedian?
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Jai Courtney's back as Captain Boomerang. Nathan Fillion's in it. He's playing a character named TDK. Viola Davis is back as Amanda Waller. Michael Rooker's in it. He's playing a character named Savant. John Cena's playing a dude named Peacemaker.
John Cena!
So the way I heard it from an actual interview with James Gunn is that Peacemaker is like if Captain America had looser morals and was totally willing to just cap a dude if that's what it took.
John Cena!
Sean Gunn, James Gunn's brother, is playing a fully anthropomorphic creature named Weasel. And he looks fucking gross. David Dastmalchian, I think that's how you pronounce his name, is playing Polka Dot Man.
Really intimidating names we're getting
and
here. Weasel and Polka Dot Man.
Peter Capaldi, the 12th Doctor, is playing a character named the Thinker. Flula Borg is in it. He's playing Javelin. There's I don't actually know what ethnicity she is, but Mei Ling Ung is playing Mon Gao. And she's like a female clone-ish version of the Superman villain Mongol. Steve Agee, I think you would pronounce that, is playing King Shark.
King Shark?
King Shark's in it. Daniela Melchior is playing the second rat catcher. And Marisol Carrera is playing Soldado. And that's a huge cast. Half that cast is probably going to die by the end of the movie. Probably. I imagine Blackguard's gonna die. Polka Dot Man's gonna die.
I don't expect him to be like he is in the animated series, but when they introduce King Shark in the fucking Harley Quinn,
Taika Waititi's also in it somehow.
Was that a shark joke? Yes. She breaks the bat over his head, and he's like, "Ow."
Oh, actually, speaking of Suicide Squad, Rocksteady released their trailer for their Suicide Squad game.
Mm.
The full title is Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League. The promo image they showed was a model of Superman with his back turned to the camera and like kind of looking over his shoulder. And there's the crosshair with the Suicide Squad logo in the crosshair.
Mm.
They released the trailer for it. It does take place in the Batman Arkhamverse. It takes place after Arkham Knight. So Batman's not there anymore.
Mm.
Metropolis has been taken over by Brainiac.
Oh, God.
Their alpha target is Superman.
Well, yeah.
And it's fucking great. So your four main characters in the game, the four main characters of the Suicide Squad are Harley Quinn, Deadshot, Captain Boomerang, and King Shark.
Yes.
And yeah, their alpha target is Superman. And when the end of the trailer happens, they make it to like this hotel, and in the background you can see helicopters getting blown up, and you see this like streak flying through. There's a helicopter that shows up, and Superman rams right into it, blows it up, grabs the pilot, and burns him to fucking ash.
Jesus.
And it, like, right in front of them, and Captain Boomerang just kind of saunters up to everybody else and goes, "So, we found out who the alpha target is yet?" And they all point at Superman, and he looks and he goes, "Ah, fuck!" And then it freeze frames. So, I'm already kind of pumped for Suicide Squad. That might be one of my next game purchases for when I get a PS5.
I'll check out the trailer.
It's worth it. I'll show it to you after we're done recording this.
Cool.
And also, speaking of that, WB Games released their Gotham Knights trailer.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I told you about that one.
You did, and I watched it.
Yeah?
Catwoman, or Batgirl, Nightwing,
Yep.
Red Hood,
And Robin. Yeah.
Which, and they show you, or at least insinuate that Batman's dead. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Dead.
But also Court of Owls, though.
And Court of Owls.
And Talon, and like all that shit. Oh.
And my first thought was, if you get to play as Red Hood, you get to use guns!
No, exactly. I'm wondering how they're going to do that. I wonder if, like, each character, like, if missions, like, swap off characters, or, like...
It's gonna have. They're probably gonna have to Arkham Knight it, where like
because I can't.
You can combo with people.
I was gonna say,
something.
well, that is the thing. Some missions require two. Well, they don't require two players, but like some missions are co-op, so you can like have a buddy tag in and like play as the other character, and like do some fun shit. But like from what I've noticed from watching the trailer, every character kind of has their own like strengths and weaknesses from each other. Like. Nightwing is more acrobatic than, say, Red Hood or Robin.
But Red Hood is like...
Red Hood has guns.
That's his whole thing.
Red Hood is a bruiser who has guns.
I just realized
Batgirl looks like she's probably faster than everybody else, and probably weaker, too, as a result. She probably relies more on stealth.
Robin's probably the balanced character.
Robin has a teleport.
Yeah.
Robin can fucking teleport.
So, I just realized that with...
He also probably has longer reach because he has the staff.
He has the staff. I just realized with Nightwing, Red Hood, and Robin, you have Jason Todd, you have Dick Grayson, and you have Damian Wayne.
See, that's the thing. I don't know if it's Damian Wayne. It might be Tim Drake.
It might be.
Because Damian was never in the Arkham games. Why the fuck wasn't Damian in, like, any of the Arkham games? That would have been so cool to see what they could have done with Damian Wayne.
He was doing his homework.
Oh, actually, no. I know why. It's because Talia died in Arkham City, so they couldn't do it.
That's true.
Oh, man, that sucks.
So by that logic, it probably is.
Yeah.
Probably is, but...
Like, I'm excited to see the potential that Gotham Knights has, because from what I've read, WB straight up said that every mission can be played single player, and it can be played co-op. Every single mission.
Imagine just choosing Red Hood and just shooting your fucking way across.
Like, I remember seeing that one little clip in the trailer where, like, Nightwing's going through, like, this death hallway, and he's, like, flipping off walls and shit, and, like...
Parkour.
I'm kind of excited to see if they implement a parkour system with Dick to really implement his acrobatic gymnast style.
Yeah.
Like, I'm excited for that. Tim has always been more techie, so I can't imagine why he wouldn't have a teleporter. Batgirl, again, probably relies more on stealth than straight-up combat, So she probably it's probably like really tricky puzzle levels where you have to like think your way across because Barbara's super smart.
Yeah.
And then you have Red Hood.
Oh, that's right. She never turned into. No, she was Oracle.
She was Oracle.
But she was crippled, though.
I think it's the same. I think they're going to do the same explanation in the comics where she goes through this like super experimental surgery to like reconstruct her spine, and then she goes about being Batgirl.
Because when I watched it, I was like, that looks really cool, but I have so many questions!
I love how close a lot of the designs for the characters look to their New 52 counterparts. Like, Batgirl has kind of like a sleeker, more Batman-esque version of her New 52 suit, which is very like homemade and like kind of shit. And I love that costume. I think that's great. And like Red Hood has like the brown sewn into the battle armor.
Yeah.
Like that's because it looks more like a vest. I think that's great. Tim does look a lot like Damian. He does. And I think that's probably their way of getting in a Damian credit in there somewhere. Because I know for a fact it's fucking Tim. It's got to be Tim Drake. But the idea that they gave him a costume that looks very similar to Damian's look is a nice touch. I think that's great. And I love all the changes they're making to it. Like, I love the idea that it's more of an action RPG. Like, you can level up the characters and, like, give them new skills and new armor and, like, really customize your look for each character. I think that's super cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what they do with that.
I am, too. I'm curious.
And also, fucking Court of Owls.
Yeah.
Fucking Court of Owls.
You have a hard-on for the Court of Owls.
I love the Court of Owls. They're awesome. They're one of the best pieces of new Batman mythos ever. Yeah. I think they're fucking awesome. And I have a feeling, just thinking of it right now, I think Talon is Bruce Wayne. I think they took Bruce Wayne's corpse, brought him back to life, brainwashed him, and turned him into Talon. I'm gonna call it right now. I'm fairly certain Talon is gonna be Bruce Wayne.
That would be a very
that'd be a fucking heel turn. I don't think anybody would expect that.
Oh my lord!
And
Arkham Knight fucked with me because in the beginning when they make it look
also
like
Jim's dead in Gotham Knight. Gordon's dead.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's nuts because in Arkham Knight, when they make it look like Barbara shoots herself.
Yeah.
And it's just like...
That whole game was a mind fuck. And I really, really love how they implemented Scarecrow as the main villain. And, really took their time to fuck with you.
Yes. In the if you start the game, just for people who for some reason haven't played it...
Oh, yeah,
you start the game cremating the Joker's remains, and he just... lays there and cooks, but if you do New Game Plus and you
bolts up and
you press A to cremate his remains, he lights on fire and then he sits up and starts laughing.
Yeah, no,
it's so good.
It's great. I actually, when I first played it, I encountered the Man-Bat side mission completely just randomly, and the first second he lurks over and goes I fucking jumped. I was like,
dude, same.
Ha!
I was like,
oh my god, it's Man-Bat. But I'm pumped for Gotham Knights.
When I saw Azrael, I was like, holy fuck. That's the most metal paladin I've ever seen in my life.
I would actually love if there was a secret fifth playable character in Gotham Knights where you can play certain missions as Azrael.
Yeah.
That would be really fun to be able to play as Azrael for a few missions. He just pops up as a cameo or something. I think that'd be great. It'd be really fun to implement somebody who uses a fucking sword.
Yeah, he just has a giant fucking glowing claymore
that
just lays waste to people.
Oh, they could make it even better, and they could give their own little Arkhamverse spin on Azrael's Batman suit. Because I'm gonna be honest, the Azbat suit is 90s as fuck.
90s as fuck?
Oh my god, oh my god. Yeah, the Azbat suit.
I can look it up.
Huh. Yeah, it's, if you just type in Azbat, A-Z-Bat, all one word, yeah, it's in there.
Alright.
Yeah, in
Oh my sweet goddamn!
yeah, in Curse of the White Knight, which is the second Sean Murphy Batman White Knight book, they redesigned the costume.
If I saw that in an alley, I would shit my pants, like straight, like to the waist.
Yeah, like there's a really good side by side I saw of this same pose from the original Nightfall comic and Sean Murphy's Curse of the White Knight of Azrael as Batman. Look at that redesigned Asbat suit. That looks so fucking cool.
That's terrifying.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's great. But like no, the original Asbat suit is so fucking 90s it hurts. It's a sleek gray suit with like a white like chevron design on the chest that leads down to the pelvis. It's got yellow armor with like big fucking shoulder pads and a blue chassis that sits with like a metal helmet. And he's got these big fucking gauntlets with like claws on them. He's got belt pouches on his thighs. And he's got like these like weird sharp pointy things on his fucking calves. It's so weird. It's so 90s. It might honestly be one of the worst costumes to come out of the 90s.
I like that suit,
and that's saying a fucking lot when Thor had a really bad costume in the 90s.
I mean, I liked that suit.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I actually still really like this suit just because it's so dumb. It's so dumb, but that's Thor's 90s suit.
Ugh.
He wore that for 3 issues, and then the DC Marvel crossover happened, and then they got rid of it.
Good.
Because Shazam straight up laughed at him in his face and went, "Man, your costume looks fucking dumb." Like, oh yeah, my god.
I remember some of the suits you used to be able to get in the Arkham games.
Yeah.
Where one was called, like, the Dark or Knight of the Round Table, and they perfectly combined Batman's suit with legit knight armor.
Yeah, that's from an Elseworlds story where he's a knight of Camelot.
Yeah,
and it's super great. Honestly, Arkham Origins I think might have had some of the best ideas for alternate costumes because like you had the Asbat suit, Darkest Night, so you play Zombie Batman, which was cool, and Brightest Day. It had White Lantern and Black Lantern Batman. Red Sun, where he's in the Soviet outfit. I'm pretty sure they had a redesigned, like recolored version of his origin suit that colored it black with a gold belt for like the Bale suit.
Dude, I'm so pissed. You can get every Arkham game except for Arkham Origins, and Origins was my favorite one.
Yeah, I'm amazed they didn't like decide to repurpose Origins and like give it an HD makeover.
Yeah, Arkham City and Night, no big deal, but Origins, no.
Nah, fuck you. I think Blackgate's on PS4 too. The original like portable game that got ported. Yeah.
Fuck me.
Yeah, that's on there too. Honestly, like that's the thing I wish for the most with Gotham Knights and Suicide Squad is that they still implement alternate costumes for people or like costume sets for Gotham Knights that you could like customize to give you bonuses.
Yeah.
So, like, if I wanted to, I could play as Jason Todd in his current Red Hood suit, which is fucking killer. I love that suit. It's gray tactical pants, black boots, black shirt with it's not a bat symbol, but it's just a alternate take on a domino mask with the eye slits and everything. A red cut off sleeved denim vest. Like a Winter Soldier style red mask, a domino mask, and he wears a hoodie.
Yep.
And he carries around a sword and a crowbar at all times.
A sword, a crowbar, and 2 guns, baby.
That's all you need. Like, if they give you a costume set like that in Gotham Knights, I will use that costume set all the fucking time when I play as Red Hood. Or, like, if they give Nightwing a more New 52-esque suit with the red instead of the blue, I'll wear that. Or, give Tim some Red Robin-ish looks. Like, that'd be dope. Suicide Squad could have some really fun gimmicks with that.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I
think the only character that would look really boring would be King Shark, because, I mean, how many alternate costumes can you give him?
I don't know. I mean, Yeah, how many...
King Shark would be kind of silly and a little boring.
Give him, like, Hawaiian trunks or some shit.
Harley would be fun.
Harley, you could have a field day.
You could do her event. You could do her Harley Quinn outfit. You could do a lot of her outfits from the different comics. You could do her Arkham game costumes. Deadshot, you could do a lot with that. Captain Boomerang, you could do a surprisingly good amount with.
Yeah.
Like those would be really fun. But like I miss video games that gave you alternate costumes for things.
Yeah.
Like I miss having the fun in that. Like Spider-Man still keeps that trend going, and I love them for that. I really hope they continue with that in Miles Morales when that comes out.
I loved how you could
I mean, Miles doesn't have a lot of costumes, but that'd be really fun.
I love how you could pick the suit, but then you could also pick, like, the special effect from the other suits.
Yeah, so if you unlock the suit, you unlock the effect, and you don't have to match it. You can just mix and match.
Yeah.
So, like, every costume I switch into, I always keep the armor ability from the Mark IV Spider Armor that gives you that full, like, defensive shield from everything, just because it makes certain combat challenges a hell of a lot easier.
For a while, I carried the punk rock sound effect that blasts everybody.
Yeah.
But then I just stuck with web everything, because,
yeah.
I mean...
I like to switch it up every once in a while, because they actually... They didn't have to do this, but they did. With the Infinity War Spider Armor, you know how it has, like, the 4 retractable limbs that for the armor power? They changed that with the comic accurate Iron Spider suit. It's 3 gold arms, like in the comics. So you're missing that 4th arm, but it's for the sake of comic accuracy, and they really did not have to go that far. But they did, and I commend them for it. I think that's wonderful. And again, I hope they continue that in Miles Morales. Miles doesn't have a lot of alternate costumes, but you could have some fun with the ones he does have. You could give him a shitty Spider-Man costume suit like in the Ultimate Comics. You could give him Cosmic Miles from Spider-Geddon. Cosmic Miles would be dope as fuck.
Give him the too small suit.
Yeah. You could give him a retouching of the fucking Spider-Verse suit. You don't have to make it all...
The black hoodie with the spray paint.
Yeah, you don't have to make it all silly and animated, but, like, you could just like, give him a costume that just translates that into the game's engine. The Miles costume from... so Marvel released a limited series of comics called, blank character, like, whatever character it is, the end. Like, this is their non-canonical end of their character. Mm-hmm. Some of them are really good. Miles has a really good costume in that one, where it's black boots, regular like camo army pants. He wears his old Spider-Man suit top underneath it, but he keeps a jacket with a hoodie on top of that also has web designs. And when he zips up the hoodie, it form fits to his costume, and he doesn't wear a mask.
Huh.
It looks fucking dope. And if they put alternate costumes in the Miles Morales video game, I want that costume in there. Because it looks incredible. I fucking love that costume.
Yeah, I loved the suit that you get to fight Doc Ock, the like black metal.
Yeah, that was really cool.
That was cool.
Yeah, what else came from the fandom? Because I seem to forget things. Oh yeah, there is another video for Gotham Knights that's a gameplay reveal, so that way you can see how certain characters move in action. I haven't seen that yet, but I'm planning on that. Let's see, Suicide Squad. Oh, right! They're reviving the Milestone Comics imprint. Guess who's the first character they're rebranding? Static Shock. Did you never watch Static Shock as a kid?
No.
Black kid with lightning powers, rode on a little silver sock. Dude.
No.
Static is so fucking cool, and they're making a movie for him, too. Which is dope. Oh, right. I completely forgot to talk about the Snyder Cut Justice League reveal.
Well, you briefly touched it.
I saw the trailer. It's a completely different fucking movie.
Good.
It is... super different. The first thing you see is a clip of Darkseid wrecking shop.
Didn't they say it would be like 4 1-hour?
Yeah, it's 4 hours long, cut into 1 hour chunks. Yeah, let's see, the Black Adam teaser, the Batman. Oh yeah, nope, okay, yeah. I completely skipped over the Snyder Cut Justice League shit, and that was the last thing that they announced at the Fandom.
Well,
so like, no, Justice League, actually, I'm gonna hold my breath and say if it's good or not for when I see it.
same.
But it does look like a much better movie than whatever the fuck Joss Whedon did to butcher it. And I mean straight butcher it. I don't hate you, Joss Whedon. You gave the world Buffy the Vampire Slayer and made the Avengers profitable, and for that, I commend you. My God, you make some shit decisions sometimes, man. Like, you know, recoloring and retouching the whole movie to make it look brighter and poppier when that's not the vibe that DC is going for with those movies.
Yeah.
That's a really bad decision. And it makes the characters look god-awful. It makes the CGI look god-awful.
I'm genuinely trying to picture Batman just, like, walking down the street in the middle of the fucking day.
Right?
Like,
No.
it's not...
Like, one of the little things they are touching up on is that, Henry Cavill's suit as Superman wasn't meant to be red and blue. It was meant to be the black and silver. He's keeping that suit in the movie. That is his costume for the entire movie, is the black suit. And I'm so fucking hard for that suit. I love that costume so much.
I remember seeing an all-white Superman suit once.
There is one of those. Back in the 90s when they were trying to, like, revitalize Superman as a brand and, like, give him new shit, they took away his regular powers and gave him energy-based powers, but it also split him up into two different people that had blue and red energy abilities or some bullshit. So he had to wear, like, a containment suit for a little while, and it was dumb as shit.
Yeah.
It is the dumbest fucking thing I think anyone has ever done to Superman. And that's saying a lot when Golden Age Superman had really, really dumb fucking powers. Because anything can be super if you just put super in front of it. Like, super math or super sewing. Like, God, that's fucking dumb. Why can't DC embrace the dumb anymore? Give me a Golden Age Superman animated movie where he just does dumb shit because it's the Golden Age and you can get away with it. That'd be amazing.
Just the Superman who rolls a crit one on everything he does.
Like, I want...
Well, I hate Superman, so I hate him so much.
I honestly want a Superman movie where he's not as strong as he could be right at the start. I want to see that because in the original Superman comics, he was strong. He wasn't that strong. He could throw giant robots around, and he had super breath and heat vision and all that shit. But he couldn't fly. He could run really fast, but he couldn't run at like supersonic speeds. Like, I want to see that Superman come back. I want to see Superman that is just jumping across the country because he can't fucking fly. I want to see that Superman. Superman is dumb as shit, and I love him.
He has too many powers.
He doesn't have that many powers.
Eric.
There's people with a lot more powers than Superman.
But he has all the fucking obnoxious ones, though. Super speed, super fast, super intellect. He can hear every heartbeat on Earth, X-ray vision, laser vision.
He has the boring powers that people always give superheroes when they can't think of unique powers to give their own.
Yeah, and they gave him all of those. They didn't just give him super strength like the Hulk. They didn't just give him super intellect like Brainiac or whatever. They gave him all that shit.
Here we go. There's a list of characters that are stronger than Superman. Not even just power-based, but just in, like, concepts. Some of these characters are stronger than everybody in the fucking DC universe, so that's kind of cheating. But at the same time, it's accurate. Like, the Spectre. The Spectre's so strong, he's essentially a god. Because you can't fucking kill him unless you exist in the same dimensional plane as him. Spectre's cool as shit. He's stronger than Superman. Martian Manhunter is stronger than Superman. The Phantom Stranger, another Spectre-like character. He's super cool. Firestorm is stronger than Superman. Because Firestorm can literally look at you and just rearrange your atoms like it's nothing. He could literally just go, yeah, that air you're breathing now, it's nuclear. Fuck you. He could blow you up with a thought. Firestorm is too ungodly powerful.
Kind of like Dr. Manhattan.
Dr. Manhattan in general. Honestly, comic Dr. Manhattan is now fucking busted because of Doomsday Clock.
Dude,
At
Dr.
the
Manhattan...
end of Watchmen, according to Doomsday Clock, John realized how fucked his universe was because of Ozymandias and just pieced out, went to the DC universe and went, huh, that's kind of fascinating. What if I tweaked it a bit? So every single retcon and reboot and everything of the DC comics is because of Dr. Manhattan. Going all the way back to the Golden Age. All the way back. He's responsible for every single retcon. Ever. And guess who's now at that level of power? Motherfucking Wally West. The goddamn second Flash is currently zooming through the multiverse with the powers of Dr. Manhattan sitting on the fucking Mobius chair. Trying to reset the multiverse and like tweak it and change it so that way everything ends up coming up the way it's supposed to. Comic Dr. Manhattan is so fucking busted that nobody can beat him.
Yeah.
He has to kill himself.
Yeah.
In order to lose.
Yeah. Which
Dr. Manhattan
he's kind of prone to do sometimes.
He already did.
Yeah, he was like, oh, I'm like really sad.
Yeah, no,
so...
at the end of Doomsday Clock, he reconfigures himself into existence in the Watchmen universe again, but this time as a little boy who gets adopted by Silk Spectre and Night Owl. Yeah. That's the end of John's story according to Doomsday Clock. It's so fucking dumb. So Dr. Manhattan does not count. Because nobody can beat Dr. Manhattan except Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Dr. Manhattan does not count. Darkseid, Doomsday, Mongol, they can all beat Superman. They have. One of them's killed him. So, like...
Yeah, but then they always lose in the end, though.
That's... Yeah.
Always. Literally
That's
always.
true. Most of the time, though, like, straight up if Darkseid loses it, most of the time it's not because of Superman. Like, in the Mr. Miracle comic, Mr. Miracle straight up fashions a knife made out of Orion's skeleton. Darkseid's own fucking kid. It's called a foreign knife. This knife is meant to kill gods of the same family. So he fashions a knife out of Orion's bones and stabs Darkseid in the eye repeatedly while screaming, "Fuck you," as he stabs him. And just fucking kills Darkseid. He straight up kills Darkseid. Fucking Mr. Miracle, master escape artist, has killed Darkseid.
I mean...
Trigon has killed Darkseid. Darkseid has killed Darkseid. Batman has killed Darkseid. It's not that special when Superman can beat Darkseid if Batman has fucking killed him.
Well, to be fair...
It's really not that special.
Well, I mean, to be fair, there's been a lot of occasions where Batman has beat Superman's ass one-on-one.
That's true. Although, there is a really great part in Peter Tomasi's Superman Rebirth run where, like, there's this running theme for a couple volumes where the Superman in the current DC universe wasn't part of the original universe. He was from a Flashpoint alternate universe. And when his multiverse got destroyed, he and Lois and their son ended up, going to the Prime Earth and, like, hiding out there up until the New 52 Superman died. And then he became the Superman of that Earth. But, like, there's this, like, running thing where for some reason, if he touches the ground with his bare hand, he leaves, like, this glowing blue imprint of his hand in the ground. And it's kind of solved by Swamp Thing a little bit. Because he straight up fights Swamp Thing, and Swamp Thing goes, "Hey, I'm gonna make you safer for Earth, so I gotta eat you now.
I gotta eat you.
He straight up eats Superman, dissolves him, and rebuilds him from scratch so that way he doesn't cause more harm to the planet. And then this other Superman book came out that used Mr. Mxyzptlk. My God, if there was a Superman villain I wanted to see in a Superman movie, it's Mr. Mxyzptlk. He'd be really, really fun to see in a movie. But yeah, he ends like Rebirth Superman and New 52 Superman end up like combining somehow. Like the New 52 Lois and the Rebirth Lois also do it or some bullshit because comic books. And now Prime Earth Superman is a mixture of the two somehow. So now the two timelines kind of interconnect and like mesh together so that way things make some logical form of sense, except it still doesn't. And DC's written themselves in a fucking Mobius strip pretty much because comic books. It's really complicated.
You lost me like 13 minutes ago.
I know.
I mean, I'm trying to keep up.
Yeah,
but
so long story short, an alternate Superman combined with the New 52 Superman to create a Prime Superman that ended up combining the two timelines of pre-Flashpoint and post-Flashpoint together to form one cohesive timeline. And then it got fucked even more when Doomsday Clock happened, and then Flash Forward happened, and Heroes in Crisis happened, and Dark Knight's Death Metal is going on right now, and that's fucking it up. And like, comics are fun. I love comics.
I wonder if some of the DC storyboard writers ever just scream in their office.
Dude, the current president of the company is a longtime writer for the company, and he doesn't even know what the fuck to do with it right now. They had a massive layoff of writers and shit recently that ended up resulting in them, for the time being, they're discontinuing this mini-series they were going to do called Generations, which was going to be post-Death Metal, and it was going to create a final, until the next retcon, a final DC universe to finally make sense of every timeline and era and everything to make the world right. And the way they were going to do it was they were going to reset everything back to zero, and it was going to be 5 generations. Generation 1 is the Golden Age. Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, all their origins, the JSA, everything. Yeah, that all exists in the Golden Age. Everything that happens then happened. Generation 1 was going to be the next generation of heroes after that, which was going to be, I think Dick Grayson is Batman. I think Superman and Wonder Woman were still going to be around, but Dick ends up being the Batman that adopts Jason Todd. And then that doesn't pan out terribly well. So Generation 3, Tim Drake was going to be the next Robin after Jason Todd died. And it was going to be an older Dick Grayson taking on Tim as Robin. But Damian was also going to be in there somewhere. So when Tim takes up the mantle of Batman, Damian takes up the mantle of Robin, and so on and so forth up to Generation 5, which would be the current modern generation. I have no idea how that was going to work, because not a lot was revealed about it, but apparently it was going to make sense of every timeline and every era, pre-retcon and post. And my God, DC.
You know what's bad when the people that are like, let me put it simply, and then 3 minutes later they're like holding their head, just like, how the fuck? Like,
look, have you ever seen It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
The odd episode here and there.
Do you remember the episode where Mac and Charlie work in a mailroom for like this big company? Okay, so the joke in it is Charlie has like this big conspiracy board about this main.
I've
named
seen
Pepe
that
Sylvia.
screenshot. He's like,
yeah,
and he has like tacks with yarn and
I look
shit.
like that when I explain comic continuity and retconning. I look like that.
I'm pretty sure most people have seen that screenshot where he has like yarn wrapped around the end of tacks connected to other articles.
Yeah, it's a big old web.
He's like,
It's a conspiracy web of retcons and alternate timelines and making sense of what happens when and who does what.
It makes sense somewhere. It makes sense.
And then it makes it worse because currently right now there's still a Batman Beyond comic going on, and we have no idea when that takes place or anything that happens in that ties into anything else. So, like, comics are fun. Comics are so fun. Stick to reading straight up solo graphic novels. Don't try and make sense of current universes unless you really want to get into it.
Unless you're a bit of a masochist.
Like me.
Don't get into.
I read the comics I enjoy, I read the characters I enjoy, and I look up everything else because I want to stay connected into that universe, but I don't want to spend hundreds of dollars on other comics that have little to no bearing except for like one issue. Like there's a solo Cable run going on right now, and that ties into the next X-Men event called X of Swords. And I'm just going to wait until X of Swords comes out in a collected edition before I read any of that shit. Because that is going to be a confusing fucking mess. Empire is going on right now. That's another big Marvel event. And that ties into Avengers shit that hasn't come out yet. Like, I found out that She-Hulk fucking died in Empire, but she's still alive in the Avengers comics because comics got delayed because of fucking COVID. So, like, everything's falling behind. There's 2 volumes of Spider-Man coming out in the next 2 months that I'm buying day one just because it's been, like, 3 fucking months since a volume of Spider-Man has come out. And, like, I'm loving this current Amazing Spider-Man run. But it's going to be a long time to catch up before shit like Empire starts to make sense for me. Like, the more I talk about this, the more I'm going to drive people away from actually reading comic books because they're just going to, like, hear that shit and be like, man, that sounds super confusing and awful. Why would anybody devote their lives to that?
I know, I didn't want
6 years of this shit, baby! I'm in it!
I didn't want to say anything because you were, like, on a tear, but it's just like, Eric, calm down, Eric.
6 years of this shit! 6 years! And it's gonna end when I fucking die. Or when comics die. Honestly, the death of comic books might come sooner.
And not long after the death of me.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a heart attack because I decided to read like 50 graphic novels all at once. And that's just gonna cause my brain to explode. Because I gotta keep track of all this fucking continuity.
I have trouble maintaining continuity with, like, Dungeons and Dragons stuff.
Yeah. It's easy to read. Honestly, if anyone's going to start reading comic books, you should really look up lists of, like, definitive books for characters you want to get into and read that. Most of it requires no context, and it's really easy to jump into the story and see if you like it and go from there. Like, for example, I didn't start reading Daredevil comics until last year because I found out that 2 of my favorite writers, Mark Waid and Chip Zdarsky, both wrote runs on Daredevil. Chip Zdarsky's run is still going on right now. But I read Mark Waid's run first, and it was really good, so I got into Daredevil because of that. Chip Zdarsky's run, also really good. I bought one of Frank Miller's Daredevil comics because I really wanted to read it, and it's one of the best Daredevil comics you could ever read. It is so good, and it came from a time when Frank Miller wasn't fucking insane. So it came pre-2000. Pre-2000 Frank Miller was A-okay. Post-2000 Frank Miller is garbage outside of, like, 300. 300 is good. Sin City is good. The third Dark Knight Returns book was pretty good. Anything else Frank Miller wrote between, say, 97 and 2017? It's pretty bad. Frank Miller went fucking nuts at one point. And, oh boy. You ever want to read a Batman comic where he abuses Dick Grayson, forces him to eat rats, and fucks Black Canary on a pier while dudes are burning up in the background? You should read All-Star Batman and Robin the Boy Wonder, the comic that single-handedly killed the All-Star line. It's great. I'm, like, hopped up on energy drinks, so, like...
Anyway.
Yeah. So, yeah. Comics are fun.
Comics.
Ask
Christ.
ask your local comic book nerd friend if there are any good books for a certain character you really like, and he could give you a list. Look it up online too, because honestly, those lists might overlap a little bit here and there.
And if you live near a comic shop,
Ask those guys too.
I've done that before. I'm like, hey, I really like Harley Quinn. What can you recommend? They're like, she has a standalone series.
Yeah, like straight up a couple years ago, I went down to New York for my birthday because my ex bought tickets to go see Animaniacs live, which was okay. It sounds weird. Basically, Rob Paulson, the voice of Yakko Warner, and Randy Rogel, the lead songwriter and composer for Animaniacs, went on a countrywide tour, giving like fun little behind the scenes facts about Animaniacs and singing a bunch of the songs and just having a fun time. So the day of the concert, actually, like it wasn't until 6 or 7 o'clock that night, we decided to go out into the nearby area and see what was around, and we decided to look up what comic shops were in the area because we were in New York. Why wouldn't you go to a comic shop in New York? That shit is fucking awesome.
I went to one in Philly.
Yeah. We went out to Hicksville, I think. There's a straight up town in New York called Hicksville. And there's a comic shop there called Phoenix Comics. Really, really nice owner. He was super chill, and he was, like, passionate about this stuff, like me. It was a tiny little shop in a strip mall. And it was, like, floor to ceiling, covered in books. Like, single issues, full collected editions, everything and anything in between. There was shit piled out back too. Like, it was nuts. And the first thing he asked was, what are we into, or what are we trying to get into? And my ex was like, you know, I really like TMNT and like all that stuff. And he like kind of pointed her over into the IDW section and went, here, go check those out. There's a bunch of TMNT, there's some Transformers, there's everything you can ask for. And then he looked at me and he was like, what are you into? And I'm like, well, recently I've been getting into Image comic stuff. You know, I have a bunch of backlog issues of Spawn that my dad owned and all that. And he's like, you heard of Scott Snyder's work? I'm like, oh yeah, love his Batman stuff. It's great. And he handed me a copy of Witches by Scott Snyder. Fantastic fucking book. Like, I think I went out with like 4 books that day, and it reignited a love for comic books that I didn't think I could have. Comic book shop owners are some of the nicest people
They are.
you could ever meet, and they know their shit.
Yeah, they do.
Like, if I owned a comic book shop and somebody was shopping around and went, hey, what's a good Green Lantern book that I could buy? Like, my first instinct would be to seriously recommend any of Jeff Johns' run of Green Lantern. Pre and post Flashpoint. Jeff Johns is a fantastic writer, and he did amazing work with Aquaman and Green Lantern for decades. And, like, highly recommend that. Or Far Sector, which is currently going on right now. I've bought every single issue that's come out because I don't want to wait for the collected edition. I'm probably not going to buy the collected edition because by that point I'll already have however many fucking issues of that book are going to be out. Far Sector is great. Like, that shit. And, like, seriously.
I remember going with Dalton to a store called the Gamers Grotto.
Yeah. I think I've been in the Gamers Grotto before.
Yeah, it was a comic shop. It was a gaming store. They had TVs lining the walls with, like, literally every console.
Yeah.
From the NES all the way up, or the Atari, all the way up to the PS3, which at the time was the newest system. And you could rent the TV for an hour, and if you rented the TV, you could play any game in the store. That was for that console. Like, the new game just came out. You rent the TV, play the new game for an hour. You like it, you can buy it.
That's actually a super good business model.
Yeah, it was.
I have no experience running a business whatsoever, and I feel like if I took some basic classes on how to run a business and found some abandoned little shop somewhere that was big enough, I could probably make a pretty good killing on opening a comic shop somewhere in this area.
Because technically the closest comic shop around here is like Claremont, Keene,
in
One Last Life, and Mountainside.
Yeah. Mountainside's great. There's some nice people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somewhat.
And then there's like Newbury and
Yeah.
River.
You got a fucking West Lab.
West
you got
Lab.
Blueberry.
Yeah,
Books a Million has a pretty good collection too. Like if you can't find something in Newbury, might be a BAM right next door. Like all that shit. But like comic books have become such a massive lucrative property recently because of the movies and the games and the cartoons and whatnot, that like it's not a niche thing to like a comic book character anymore. And more people are seeing like Marvel and DC movies and going, that was really cool. I should look into like reading more about this character and finding out more about this character. And you've got people that go into the shops for their first time ever. And it's like a fucking baptism into nerdiness.
Yes.
It's a baptism in nerd shit.
Yeah. I mean, I had a buddy who's like, I love Batman, but, you know, I was told that he was kind of brutal, and he just, like, he doesn't even kill. He doesn't beat people up. So I was like, well, there's a new arc called The Batman Who Laughs.
Oh, there's more to that, too. There's a new series.
And then there's The Drowned.
I'll say there's a mini-series focusing on a Batman called The Grim Knight. Basically, imagine if Batman was the Punisher.
Oh, Jesus.
That's the Grim Knight. Grim Knight's cool. But yeah, like, Batman... Honestly, Batman does some brutal shit outside of killing people. Like,
oh, I mean, he doesn't kill you, but he will fuck you up beyond...
Yeah. Like, back in the 90s, there was Tom McFarlane wrote a crossover book for DC and Image that crossed over Batman with Spawn. And the entire book is Batman reluctantly teaming up with this fucking dude with weird paranormal abilities that he can't explain.
Mm-hmm.
And just, like, he's not having a good time with it. But Spawn kind of is. So at the end of the book, Spawn looks at him and goes, hey, you know, that was pretty fun. We should team up again sometime. And he puts out his hand to shake Batman's hand. Batman turns away and then throws a batarang right into Spawn's face. So for like a couple issues of Spawn after that, Spawn like stitched up his face with an old shoelace. So people called him Laceface for a little while. And like Batman knows he can take it because Spawn can't fucking die.
Ugh.
So like he doesn't care. I remember in Injustice in the video game, there was a moment where like you fight Solomon Grundy in Wayne Manor, and Grundy gets launched into space by Green Lantern, and they're like, "Is he gonna be all right?" And Batman goes, Grundy's a zombie. He'll be fine."
Yeah, he can't die. He's fine.
Like, if it's a character that can't die, Batman doesn't give two fucks.
Oh, fuck no. I mean, he's electrocuted Grundy.
Remember in Arkham City when you, like, rip out Grundy's heart at the end of that boss fight?
You electrocute him so that his heart stops because Bane had it so that every pump of Grundy's heart charged the battery in the electric chair that the Joker was sitting in.
Yeah.
And so he said, either Grundy, you, or the clown is dying. Somebody in this room is dying in the next 5 minutes, and you can't stop it. So he stopped Grundy's heart, and then after the Joker got out of the electrical cage, he used the Shocker's gauntlets that he had to kickstart Grundy's heart back. It's like, first of all, Grundy's not even... like
Grundy's not alive.
Yeah, if there was one person that I think Batman would be like, yeah, okay, it would be Grundy.
I said there's actually a super brutal moment in Sean Murphy's original Batman White Knight comic, where in the very first issue alone, like the first couple of pages, are Batman going on a citywide chase with the Joker, like going across like buildings and shit, just tearing shit up and not giving a crap about public safety or anything like that. And it ends with them in a factory that was shut down, that's loaded to the gills with like boxes of decommissioned medical pills. And Batman just goes, you know what, I've had enough of this fucking bullshit. I hope you choke to death on these pills. And he just starts shoving pills in Joker's mouth.
What the fuck?
Like, he does not give two shits. And throughout the rest of the book, when Joker turns sane because of the pills, He just goes fucking nuts. He's like, why are you guys listening to the Joker? Why are you believing what he says? He's the fucking Joker. He always has a plan. And, like, it reaches the point where he gets arrested and thrown in jail. And the only reason he's let back out is because Joker has a plan to stop Mr. Freeze from taking over Gotham City, and he needs Batman's help.
Jeez.
Like, White Knight is probably one of the best examples of Batman just going fucking nuts. Without a care in the world. Flashpoint. Thomas Wayne is Batman. Whew.
Yeah, he's
actually scarier in
he is
Tom King's current Batman run that just ended. Because guess what? Flashpoint didn't get erased. Like, that universe didn't get erased when Barry reset the timeline again. And Thomas Wayne now exists in the main DC universe as Batman. And for a good, like, 6 or 7 volumes in Tom King's Batman run, he is a constant antagonistic force for Bruce. Because his way of telling Bruce to stop being Batman is to literally just break him. He's willing to beat his own son half to death if it gets him to stop being Batman.
Because he doesn't want him to potentially die.
Yeah. He would rather take the bullet as Batman than have Bruce die again. And it's fucked. It is super fucked. But it's incredible. It is so good.
Yeah, that's...
Like, comics are complicated.
They are and they're not.
Like, the stories they tell aren't complicated unless they tie into something. Because you can have a fully coherent story focusing on one solo team and it doesn't really mean much in the end. But then you also have stuff that's so interconnected that you have to do your research or buy these other books to figure out the real, like, total story. Like, a lot of Tom King's Batman stuff also ties into the Detective Comics run that was going concurrently with it. And even then, some of that Detective Comics stuff is bled over into books like Batman and the Outsiders. Some of it bled over into Scott Snyder's All-Star Batman. Like, the world is so interconnected and personal for these characters that it's hard to keep a track of what happened when you don't have that cursory material to really, like, know everything. And looking it up helps, but it doesn't really have the same impact of being able to read the story itself. And I do commend anybody who wants to get into comic books in this day and age, because for some characters, there's almost 100 years worth of material to look through. Some of it's canon still. Some of it's not. Like, when the New 52 started for DC, a lot of the previous stuff for some of these characters just stopped existing. There are some events that still happen before the New 52 retcon. Like, the idea that Nightfall and shit like that, and, like, all that stuff still happened in Batman's life when the retcon happened, means that you have to have knowledge of those events transpiring and knowing why that story existed in the first place. It never gets brought up much, but it's still relevant, and it's so hard. It's so hard. If you're gonna read a book for, like, 1 or 2 specific characters, for the love of God, stick to those characters. Don't be like me, who has over 700 fucking volumes of comic books split between, like, 20 different heroes and or teams and or other properties. Because you will lose yourself in that life, in that culture, in that mythology. I don't regret being a part of this community. I don't regret the books I've bought. I don't regret the stories I've read. But it is a lifestyle, and you have to dedicate yourself to it if you are going to go that hard. It is so hard, and it's a curse. But on the plus side, I'm really fun at parties when somebody asks me, hey, what can you tell me about this character? And I can be like, what do you want to know? And then I can just, like, pop out a fact like that. Like, did you know that fucking Peter Parker's had, like, 8 girlfriends in the entirety that he's existed? Everybody only knows, like, 2 of them. There's the one that died, and then there's the redhead. Unless you read the comics, you don't know about his other, like, bajillion fucking girlfriends. It's fun. It's really fun. I'm like, I went off on a fucking comic book tangent. I am
Yeah, you did.
hopped up on, like, energy drinks.
It's been, like, literally close to a half an hour.
Yeah.
Where I've had barely anything to say.
I could talk comic books all day. I'm not even kidding. Like, I have so much I could tell about comic books and about
I've been
comics
friends with
that
you
are
for 14 years. I know.
Yeah. Yeah, this is my life. My life is ingrained in pop culture. Comics have been a huge part of it. Movies have also been an equally big part. This is my life. I also like doing other things outside of comic books and movies, but, like, this is my life. I don't regret it. I actually really like it. Because comic books are escapism. And at this point in everyone's lives, when we have to deal with this cursed fucking year that we've had so far, you need a bit of escapism.
Well, my escapism comes through Dungeons and Dragons. That's my escapism.
That too. Like, I play D&D. I watch movies. I watch TV. I read comics. I play games. I get engrossed into these things that can help me escape from the real world for just a couple hours, because the real world fucking sucks right now.
Yes, it does.
Oh my god,
so fucking hard.
This is honestly the worst fucking year I think anybody could have ever had.
Like, I thought 2016 was bad.
No,
it doesn't have dick on 2020.
No, I wish we were still back in 2016. That shit was easy compared to this.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have a car. I can't drive around and do shit anyway, but the fact that I can do even less stuff now, because a lot of restaurants are closed, and every store everywhere is limiting how many people can do what, and, like, nobody wants to go out and do anything for risk of catching infection.
Yeah.
That sucks. Like, straight up, before this whole, like, virus thing happened, I was talking to this girl on a dating app. We had a date set up and everything. We were gonna hang out and, like, grab a slice of pizza to eat. Like, we were just gonna, like, have a nice casual date just to, like, get to know each other. And then this virus hit. And then I never heard from her again.
Yeah.
Dating in this time frame right now is real fucking hard.
I mean, I'm not even trying to date anybody, but like you said, like, I can't go to very many restaurants. The few stores I go to, they're either closed or they're limiting who can go. You know, they basically disparage travel.
Yeah.
I mean...
And what makes it worse is that right now I work in a grocery store.
Yeah.
So, like, people are fucking pricks.
Yeah,
to everybody who works in a grocery store right now. Everybody who works in retail in general, they will treat you like fucking garbage.
Which is bullshit, because they're the ones who said, you need to reopen the stores and you need to, reopen...
You need to cater to us.
Reopen the small businesses.
We need to keep the economy going.
And then we did, and they're dicks.
Yeah. Like,
because I work in a restaurant. I mean, I'm a cook, but,
yeah.
We see the wait staff a lot. And they have to wear, I mean, everybody does, but they have to wear a mask, they have to wear gloves. A couple of them wear face shields.
Right. Especially when you go up to people in the restaurant, like, you need that extra bit of coverage.
And the clientele for our restaurant is a lot of elderly, so a lot of people that are really susceptible. And they just kept fucking saying, you need to reopen the restaurant. It's like, white people had to eat their own cooking for 3 months, and they went fucking crazy.
Yeah.
It's like...
I don't even claim to be a really good cook. Like, I can make some pretty good dishes, but, like, I I would get sick of it too, but I'd still keep going with it because it's better to, not risk the safety of other people than to be selfish.
Yeah.
And like,
it's just this shows you the virus, the
current political climate,
the
like
political
everything.
climate, the virus. It's not about left or right, blue or red, liberal
This
or
is
conservative.
about human rights and
this
human
is about
decency.
are you a good fucking person? And holy shit, are a lot of people not good fucking
especially in
people.
this area.
Like
I work in the deli of a grocery store. I work in a food industry.
me as well.
And corporate told us a couple months in, hey, like we have 3 slicers in my deli. 2 of them are for meat, 1 is for cheese. Because they want us to practice social distancing in every capacity that we can accomplish in our store, we had to shut down our middle slicer. We had to shut down one of our meat slicers because we had to be 6 feet apart from each other.
Yeah.
I haven't had many customers complain about the longer waits because we only have 2 operating slicers. What I've heard more complaints about is people getting annoyed and upset because I can't give them a sample of the meat or cheese because corporate told us not to, because that increases the risk of infection. That increases susceptibility to catching this virus. And I've had quite a few people give me gross looks, or like they've rolled their eyes and made an audible huff. Some of them have actually gotten like super pissed off because of it, and I don't understand how you can get pissy about something like that.
So we had the front of our house manager at the restaurant I cook at. It's a
Right.
very nice restaurant.
Oh, it's super
Like,
nice.
we are, like, celebrities eat where I cook.
Yeah,
And we had
because Vermont's a good tourist destination.
we had a front of the house manager who, her name was Michelle. Oh, she was so good at her job. Fuck, she was good at her job. We had a woman yell at one of our waitstaff, and I mean yell, in a packed restaurant surrounded by wealthy people, of high quality people, and she's yelling at this girl over it was many years ago, so we're not quite sure about what, but she's yelling at our waitress. The waitress, of course, some people just don't take it well. She starts crying.
Yeah, trying to keep a straight face, but like eventually it cracks.
Mm-hmm. Waitress comes back into the kitchen crying. She says, "Oh, the woman at table 10 yelled at me," and blah, blah, blah. Michelle walks out, and the woman had already left. Like, she saw the waitress had started walking away. She got up and started walking away. This was in the summer. And in the summer, we keep the windows to the restaurant open so that
So it gets good airflow.
it gets
doesn't
airflow.
get hot.
And we have screens and shit, but we keep airflow.
Yeah.
However, because the window was open, all the people, at least on that wall, heard our manager go, "Don't you ever fucking talk to one of my staff like that again. Who the hell do you think you are?" And she just dresses this woman up. And again, not that, like, in the grand overall scheme of things it matters,
Yeah.
but a very high-end restaurant that kind of caters to kissing people's ass a little bit.
Because they're rich and you need the money and the
we need the
business.
money, they need the tips. It's like, of course, we'll only put 13
Sometimes
grains of salt on
sometimes
your
your
fish.
integrity means more than the money.
Yeah. So imagine you're at a very nice restaurant that you've probably saved up for like 2 months to go to.
Yeah.
You're in your best suit and or dress, and there is a manager. You see a woman screaming at a waitress over some minute fucking thing.
Right.
The woman walks out. You see a woman in all black who looks like she's the manager. You see her leave out the same door, and directly behind you, because the window's open, you hear, "Who the fuck do you think you are?" And they fired Michelle for that.
I mean,
The woman's crying, or our waitress is crying. The woman left without paying, and they fired Michelle for that. And you know what? You can argue all day with me about the customer's always right. You're wrong.
no, the customer is
You're-
never always right.
Okay,
Customers suck.
customers suck. I couldn't do a job servicing people because I just don't have the patience.
No.
Can I get this, that, the other, gluten-free? You can get the fuck out of this restaurant.
There are a few people that will come in, and I don't judge some of these people harshly because I know some of them are shopping for other people who don't want to go out in this current time frame.
Of course.
So, like, when they order, like, 6 or 7 pounds of shit, I hate it, but I'm not going to judge them for it because I know this isn't just for them. It's for other people. There are some fucking people. There was this one dude. Big dude.
Like fat big or like...
Fat big.
Oh, okay.
Big man. Like, he was so fat, his neck was not even visible. And he, honest to God, sounded like John Goodman.
Oh, God.
Because of the fat in his voice.
Probably looked like him, too. Fuck.
No. John Goodman looked better than this, man. He ordered 10 pounds of shit. 4 pounds of worth was salami.
Oh.
Genoa and heart. 2 pounds each. 2 pounds of cheese. 2 pounds of turkey and like 1.5 pounds of ham and a medium container of pasta salad. This fat fuck ordered 10 pounds of shit. And I felt so bad for the woman standing behind him waiting her turn.
Because, you know, she just wanted like 2 pieces of cheese.
Yeah, she probably wanted at most maybe 2 pounds of stuff. Like a pound of meat and a pound of cheese. That's fine. That's doable. It takes me 5 minutes and you're out the fucking door. Right? This woman started off very patient, like perusing her phone, you know, just like waiting her turn. And the second the guy got to like the penultimate item, the 2 pounds of like turkey or something like that, I saw her audibly look at this man in hatred and disgust. Look at me, looked a little apologetic, and then just turned and walked away.
That's when you're like, fuck it, I'm going to the pre-cut shit.
Yeah, right? Yeah, that's when I'm going down to the meat department, and I'm going to go to the processed, pre-packed shit, and I'm going to buy a pound of like this Hillshire Farm turkey, because that's all I fucking wanted.
We have a grocery store, small time, but...
The one right next to your place, right?
It's connected to the restaurant. They sell the ingredients we cook with, so like if you want to make it at home or whatever. And we have a butcher, like a real true-to-life butcher.
Yeah.
Gets in animals, he breaks them down, he knows his shit. And we have a woman named Susie. She's been there for 18 years.
Fuck.
She knows she's really good at her job. She's that person where like people from the community will come in just to say hi and they'll buy something. Like she's a literal draw for the place.
Right.
She also gets those people who just because they have money or because their parents had money or whatever, they legitimately think they're better than you.
Yeah.
And so she makes sandwiches, usually fresh cut meat, fresh baked bread.
Right.
This guy came in with a pile of his own shit from home and said, hey, make me a sandwich using my stuff.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. He brought his own meat, he brought his own cheese, he brought his own bread, he brought his own condiments and his own lettuce, and he said, make me a sandwich with my stuff.
That's not being lazy, that's just being stupid, because being lazy meant he wouldn't have driven all the way out to some middle of nowhere fucking grocery store, like small time grocery, just to have somebody make a sandwich with his own ingredients.
Then we had a woman...
That is a new level of stupid.
Yeah. Then
Fuck.
She almost lost it. And then she had a woman who came in, ran to her counter and said, my husband is very hungry. I need a sandwich now. And she's like, okay, well, we have a bunch of pre-made ones up front. I mean, we have turkey, we have ham.
But she wanted it fresh made.
And she said, my husband only eats fresh. And Susie said, well, ma'am, those sandwiches have only been there for half an hour.
Yeah.
At most.
If somebody told me, yeah, those sandwiches have been there for like 20 minutes, I'd be like, alright, yeah, that's good enough, and I'd grab one.
And this one, I legitimately don't know how you have this level of assholery in you. And this woman says, what do you do here? And she said, well, I'm the sandwich maker. And she said, well, then do your job and make my husband a sandwich.
What the actual fuck?
It should be a law where you're allowed to just sock one customer a day right in their fucking dick.
Right?
Later.
That'd be so nice. So every summer, there's a group of Jamaican dudes that come up and work at the local farm.
Yep.
Like they come up with their work visas and they.
I don't know
they
what you're
do their-
talking about.
Yeah. So during the summer, they are the biggest sellers for our fried chicken that we sell. I'm not even kidding. I wish I was joking, but like these guys, it doesn't matter if it's like 105 out. They will come in and they will buy like wings or fried chicken or both or something, and there's very few of us that can actually understand them because of how thick their accents are and because they mumble a lot. Because they're so used to talking. Yeah, they're so used to talking to like people from their own country and like their own families and their own accent that like you could mumble something in Jamaican and they'd probably get it. Like, it was that kind of thing. And I had one coworker who is just a real fucking piece of work. I hated her. One day, a couple Jamaican dudes come in. A couple of them get, drumsticks, maybe a thigh or something. Two of them get like 8-piece deals that we have. And the second I see them come in, she also noticed them come in and goes, "Ugh, it's the Jamaicans."
Oh, for fuck's
like she said it with
sake.
such hatred and like vitriol in her voice that I had to do a fucking double take because I couldn't believe somebody could actually look at a person and have that level of disgust just because of who they are. And the Jamaican dudes are very brash. They're very like direct. They know what they want, and like they aren't super big on manners.
Eh.
I don't mind it too much because I deal with customers like that all the time, and it doesn't really faze me because I'm just dead inside and I'm used to it. But
working in retail, I'm dead inside.
Yeah. How's your day going? Well, I'm not dead, so it can't be any better.
We had a woman come into that same grocery store, and they're connected to us, so they come over sometimes, and they tell us their stories. They had a woman run in, grab one of those pre-made sandwiches, and said, "I have my child in the car. I'll come back and pay later."
What the no, what?
And that's, they thought that because they left their, they didn't exactly say how old they were, but I'm assuming small child in the car.
Probably somewhere between like 4 and 8.
Probably, I don't know. But they were like, I have my child in the car, so I'm just going to come back and pay later. And our general manager's like, that's not how this works.
No.
You have to get in line and pay like everybody else.
It's a $5 sandwich. Your kid can wait like 3 minutes while you pay for your sandwich and get out.
I mean, we've had, just because of the nature of our clientele having decent amounts of money, they genuinely just think they're above people. And there's one...
I've never understood that mentality of, I'm above, I have more money than everybody else. I'm just going to be a complete dickhole about it.
Well, the way you stop it is you don't cater to these people.
Yeah.
It's just like, all right, so I saw you get uppity with my staff, so you can leave, and you can come back tomorrow and apologize, and we can try this over again.
Yeah.
But no, the owners just want the fucking sale, and they want the money.
They're more concerned about their business going under than they are about their employees.
Yeah. But there was one time where it was me, and there was the head chef, the executive chef. He sent everybody else home because it was the winter.
Right.
And and we were dead. I mean, we did nobody all night. We're open for 6-hour service. Nobody. It's a blizzard outside. And so him and I, we wrapped everything. We wrote the to-do list. We scrubbed the kitchen. He's sitting on a milk crate reading the paper. I'm sitting on the table browsing Facebook. And, we closed at 9. It's 8:55.
Oh, God.
2 people walk in. There's one, the general manager stayed because he had the shortest drive home.
Right.
And I had, at the time, a 20-minute drive home, and the executive chef had a half-hour drive home in good weather.
I was going to say, in the winter, that's upwards of like 40 minutes to an hour.
Yeah. So, the general manager is working the bar. He's all wrapped, and he looks at these people, and he's like, Can I help you? These people, by the way, lived 3 houses up from the restaurant.
Are you shitting me?
You could see their house from the restaurant. And they said, we're here for dinner. And he goes, and the rule is, if it's before close, we have to serve you.
Oh.
And like the general manager just got hired, so he didn't want to be the guy that, was like, no. So he comes back, and me and the chef are just watching the clock. I mean, we're just watching it. And I'm like, all right, 2 minutes until we can get the fuck out of here. General manager walks through the door. I just had a 2-top walk in. It's the so-and-sos that live 3 houses down. And my executive chef is the nicest man on the planet. He's let me borrow his car. He's invited me to his house for, like, drinks. He's invited me to his house to, like, just hang out with him and his family. And we're, like, legitimate friends. He is the nicest. Never mind chef. Because most chefs have that reputation of being dicks. He's not only the nicest chef you'll ever meet, he's one of the most genuine people you'll ever meet. I hear this man go, oh, fuck no. And he stands up and he walks out to the front of the restaurant. He's gone for like 2 minutes. He comes back in. He looks at the clock, looks at me and goes, let's get the fuck out of here. I'm like, what did you say? And he said, I told them that you live 3 houses down the road. We've been open for 6 hours. There's a blizzard outside. Me and my 1 employee left both have very long drives home. You can come tomorrow. I will be more than happy to cook for you, but I'm not cooking for you tonight. To which the people responded, well, we're going to tell the owner that you refused this service. And he goes, go ahead. I'll shoot him an email the second I leave tonight. So the next day, I come to work, and I see the chef, and I said, hey, what did, anything ever come of that whole thing last night? He goes, oh yeah, I called the owner, and I said they came in 2 minutes before closing. They also said that they were going to get 3 courses.
Yeah, fuck that noise.
Yeah. So, he said they were 3 houses down. We were closing in 2 minutes. It's a blizzard outside. You and I had long drives home. I said all of that to the owner, and the owner just said, I don't know, tell him I yelled at you or something.
That's great. Honestly, I wish I could get away with doing shit like that, because, like, one of the people that runs the store, our HR person, she's not... She's HR. She's not supposed to be a manager of anything. She's not supposed to, like, close down the store or anything, but she does it anyway because it's better than hiring an assistant store manager or something. Some bullshit. And this woman, if there's an overnight, she doesn't give a shit what time we get out. Like, as long as we check in with the overnight people before we leave, so that way they can lock the doors behind us. Right? Yeah. If there's not an overnight, the store closes at 9 o'clock. Everyone in the deli is supposed to be out at about 9:15. That's when we're scheduled, because we have to work 8 hours, but our schedule includes the 30-minute lunch break. So if I go in at 12:45, I'm out at 9:15, because I have to take into account that 30 minutes I'm on lunch break.
Yep.
If there's not an overnight, she will consistently come up to the deli and keep asking for updates on how we're doing on shutting down the deli, because she wants us out at, like, just about 9 o'clock. Mm-hmm. Not 9:15 when we're supposed to be out. 9 o'clock, because she wants to get home as soon as possible. And I totally feel that. I get it.
Yeah.
I have no problem with that. But it's, like, almost every fucking night. And it's ridiculous. So, like, the deli closes when the store closes.
No.
Because a lot of the bigger stores in our company are open till 10. Mm-hmm. So when the deli closes at 9, that's because there's an hour left for the store to be open. If you didn't come get your meat before 9 o'clock, boo-hoo, so sad.
Yeah.
Fuck off. That extra hour is meant to be there so that way the closers can finish up their work without being interrupted by customers.
Stock, cash out.
Yeah, stock the shit, make sure everything looks nice, everything's clean, slices are shut down and clean, everything looks good. Right? On nights that we don't have an overnight, we're supposed to have our meat slicer shut down somewhere between 8:30 and 8:45. And if it's not our HR person closing, every other closing night manager will tell us that we have to serve customers until 9 o'clock. And then they wonder why we get out so late, because those slicers are a bitch and a half to clean.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, some nights we won't have any customers after, like, 8 o'clock because it's just fucking dead. You know, it could be the middle of winter and there's, you know, snow falling on the ground and nobody wants to go out past, like, 5 o'clock.
No,
right?
can't clean the slicers yet. You have to wait till 9.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's what it is.
Fuck you.
There was... Oh... I'll never forget. There was one winter, about 2 years ago now, actually, where I came in for my shift. I worked the closing shift, because I always work closing. And I come in, and it is a fucking ghost town. We have 2 people on register, the CSR up front at the service desk, 3 grocery stockers, 1 person in the meat department, 1 person in produce, and 3 of us in the deli. The hot case is empty. They haven't cooked a fucking thing all day because they've dealt with 2 customers. And they didn't even want anything from the hot case.
We're from Vermont, where winters
are very hit or miss.
They're very hit or miss, meaning that from, like, late October...
Yeah. Like,
until,
usually a week
like,
before Halloween until like mid-March.
Yeah, until, well...
Maybe even April sometimes, honestly.
It depends, about that 6-month mark, but
yeah.
There's been times where we haven't gotten snow until January, sometimes, because global warming. But when we get it, holy fuck do we get it. I mean, they'll just be like, yup, it's been 2 months without snow, but there's a nor'easter coming today. Oh, how much are we expecting? 4, 6... 13 inches overnight.
Yeah,
so,
right?
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, so, like, the night before it started snowing, and it was coming down kind of slow, so, like, it was fine. But we were supposed to get, not a blizzard per se, but some pretty substantial snowfall.
Yeah.
So, like, I think that entire day, I maybe dealt with 1 customer for 8 hours. It was me, another coworker, and our sanitation person for 8 hours. Not even, actually. Like, it hit about 5, 6 o'clock, give or take, and the CSR came up to us and went, hey, so it's really fucking dead in here. We were told that we can close the store down early because the weather's about to get worse in the next couple of hours. So if you guys get all your stuff done in, like, the next hour, you can just leave whenever. And we were like, fucking dope. All right, so, like, we did the bare minimum of the dishes that we had. Made sure everything was set for the next day. Sanitation didn't do a single fucking thing except sweep and mop the floor because the hot case wasn't used all day. We didn't have to cook chickens. We didn't have to fry anything. We didn't have to do jack shit with that end of the deli. So our sanitation person helps us with, like, the bare minimum of the shit we had to do. Swept and mopped the floors, and we all pieced out by 6:30. I grabbed my groceries to make dinner that night. Hopped in my ex's truck, we drove back to the apartment, and I just sat on my happy ass for like 5 hours without a care in the world as the snow was falling outside. It was
sucks working.
Glorious.
It sucks working in the restaurant business during the winter because, holy shit, because unless you're in, like, a ski resort or whatever, you're dead.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been days where all day, in the 12 hours I'm at the restaurant, we'll do, like, maybe 10 people. And it's just like, you prep everything, you clean everything, and there's like 4 hours left to go. There's literally nothing to do.
Yeah.
And it's funny because everybody in my restaurant, we're all like actual friends. Like, we hang out outside the restaurant. And so our general manager comes walking through. It's me and the executive chef, and we're just standing there. I've been scrubbing the same spot for 5 minutes. Just scrubbing and wiping the same spot. And there's the executive chef sitting on top of the convection oven, looking at his phone. And the general manager goes, "Got time to lean, got time to clean." And the chef,
clean what?
And the chef goes, "Got time to rhyme, got time to shut the fuck up." And of course, the general manager laughs, and he's like, "Oh, just 2 more hours, boys." It's like,
Yeah, I think straight up beyond that storm, I think the quietest day I've dealt with at all during the winter, working at the store I work at. I think at the deli we had maybe like 15 customers that entire day from open to close. 15 customers. And they barely wanted anything. They wanted like I had one dude come in. This was the biggest order I've taken for a single item. He wanted 10 pounds of roast beef.
Oh
because he was taking some for himself and some for his buddy who lived a little further up north because he lived out in the middle of the woods and wanted to freeze some of it for later use. So I was like, alright, that's understandable. So I take out like 2 hefty chunks of roast beef that we have. And I cut this dude 10 pounds of roast beef. And I straight up looked at my friends and I was like, I'm going to go take a break for 15 minutes. I'm going to let my arm rest. Don't call me if we get a rush. And I come back out, I'm like, so did we get any customers while I was gone? They're like, nah.
That's when you just hand him the whole fucking roast.
I actually straight up, like, because I'm full-time, I get a lunch break and 2 15-minute breaks. The day we had that storm, I straight up just took a 30-minute break for all 3 of my breaks. Nobody batted an eye. They were just, like, they straight up looked at me and went, how was your 30? And I was like, it was fucking great. Did we get any customers? And they're like, nah. I'm gonna go take a 30 now. I'm like, alright, dope.
In the winter, for like years, I worked nights, and it's winter, it's snowing, nobody wants to be out.
No.
We're dead. And it's me, the grill guy, the sous chef, because the executive went home, and the dishwasher. So
right.
It's the 4 of us, and there's nothing. Like, there's literally nothing. Like, all of our shit's stocked, all of our shit's wrapped, all of our shit's clean. And so our sous chef goes, smoke break. And we all went out. I don't smoke, but
right.
But fresh air. So we go outside. They're getting snowed on. I'm getting snowed on. Their hands are shaking, trying to puff the cigarettes. We go back inside. They had us like chip all the ice off the freezer door or something, which took
busy work.
Which took all of 3 minutes. I mean, you just hammer and chisel the little bit of ice that's on it.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what this winter looks like for my job.
It went, we literally 6 minutes. Just sweep it up into the garbage can. Chef goes, all right, smoke break. I'm like, you just came in. They're like, yeah, we took our smoke break. We did some work. Smoke break again. They took... they probably all went through the packs they had on them.
Just in that one day.
Dude, I could tell you some kitchen stories. There needs to be a day where I just do kitchen stories, but one of the kitchen stories was we were all out back, they were smoking. I was just chilling. And a dude pulls up in an unmarked van. Just a white van, solid doors, no back windows. He gets out and he goes... And he's shifty. Like, he's looking everywhere and he goes, hey, so... I won the lottery, and I just quit my job, so I was curious if you guys wanted to buy what I used to sell. And we're like...
What?
Yeah, exactly. That's what all of them were like, wait, what the fuck? What? And so our executive, or our sous chef at the time, goes, fuck you selling. Like, she's from Boston.
Right.
You know, she's like...
She's got that heavy Bostonian accent.
She takes the cig out of her mouth, and she's like, fuck you selling. And he opens the door, and it's still in the cellophane surround sound systems. Still in, the plastic cellophane. And we're like, how do you have... And he's like, I used to sell them, and I won a small-time lottery. I don't need to work anymore. And so we all are like, all right, well, this guy's fucking lying.
Yeah, right.
This guy stole these, and he's trying to sell them. We're like... And the grill guy's like, he takes a cigarette out of his mouth. He's like, how much? The guy goes, I don't know, $20 each.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
See, I could tell you some fucking stories from my job. Like that. Some of them are funny. Some of them are kind of just.
I'm gonna have to save some of my raunchier stories for another show.
There is. I'm gonna try and condense this one because it's not terribly complicated to understand, but it's a fucking doozy. So. Last year, a friend of mine and our ex-sanitation guy, because he got fired, I don't know, 5-6 months ago. They started seeing each other, and I think they're pretty happy together. They seem pretty happy together. So this guy made some really bad life choices growing up. He's been to jail. He's sold any sort of hard drug you can fucking imagine. He has a kid, the most adorable little girl I've ever seen, with this fucking psycho with a stripper name.
Aren't they usually?
And this woman is not attractive. She's 5 foot nothing. Kind of looks like a toad. So she finds out that my friend and the sanitation guy are seeing each other, and comes in to my job. At this point, I've been working in the meat department for a little while. I'm not working in deli because they transferred me over because they needed the extra help. And it's been a pretty quiet day. I'm just kind of I did some extra cleaning just to make sure everything looked nice because I had nothing better to do. And I look over, there's that fucking woman, fucking baby mama, yelling into the sanitation guy's face about just random shit about how my friend's a fucking hussy and how she's trying to steal him from her and all that shit.
God.
And points to the sanitation guy. He walks away from the department as to de-escalate the situation so that way he can talk to her where there's no customers.
Yeah.
And my friend is watching this the whole time, and she comes over to me and she's like, "That's his baby mama. Keep an eye out. I don't trust that she's over there talking to him or something." And she walks by both of us, sanitation guy and his baby mama walk past both of us. She's still yelling at him, and she straight up slaps him in the face. And the second she saw it, my friend fucking bolted over and tackled her to the fucking ground. And they started going at each other. It took 4 of us to rip them off of each other.
Dude, I don't.
It was absolutely nuts. I had to take a witness statement. My friend and the sanitation guy had to take a witness statement. That baby mama has a restraining order against the store, so she cannot go in there anymore unless she wants to get fucking arrested. Luckily, she's not stupid enough to try that, which is a miracle. And I couldn't honestly believe that something like that happened. I did not want to believe it, and it fucking freaked me out.
I had a buddy, you know about this, my buddy Aaron, and I'm on PlayStation.
Right.
He lives out in Arkansas,
Ooh.
And his girlfriend that he's been with for 2 years and change.
Right.
They had a son together.
Oh, yep. Yeah, I remember.
He was scrolling on Facebook, and not even deliberately, just scrolling on Facebook, and a Sports Illustrated or a swimsuit,
well, a fan page or something like that.
Something, but a bikini, a woman wearing a bikini showed up, part of this ad, because we're in the middle of summer,
right?
Swimming.
Yeah, they're gonna inundate you with ads and shit like that.
Yeah, it's not like he was looking this up deliberately. His girlfriend loses her mind. She punched him in the face.
Jesus Christ.
Broke his TV. Yeah, she punched his TV and she had rings on, so it shattered his screen. And then she left. And she just barraged him with texts that night saying, "I can't believe you do this to me," and whatever. He's like, "This is over a fucking swimsuit ad that I just so happened to come across." And so he messages me, because we've been pretty good friends for about 3 years. And because I was around before her. And he sends me the screenshots. And he goes, "What do you think?" I'm like, "I know she is the mother of your son.
You gotta leave that bitch.
That cunt is crazy."
Yeah.
And she was sending him messages like, "How are you going to feel with our son growing up with another man in the house?" And things like that. And I'm like, dude, that cunt's fucking crazy.
I'd say,
and I know that's a sensitive word for some people.
Screen cap, like straight up, tell your friends, screen cap those texts she sent him.
He already did.
Take a picture of the TV. Go, she did all this shit. She is not stable. I want my kid.
That's what I told him to do. I'm like, well, you've already screenshot this one because you sent it to me. So screenshot the others. Take a photo of the broken TV, and
if the punch left a bruise, take a pic of that too.
It didn't.
Oh.
And bring all of that to custody court.
Yeah.
And
this woman freaked out over a swimsuit ad and did all this shit. You seriously expect her to raise this kid properly, knowing that? And if they're smart, they'll give him the kid.
So here's proof that the justice system isn't fair and it's damaged.
Yeah.
And I am embarrassed to call this woman a relative. So as far as I'm concerned, she's not. I won't even say her first name. That's how much I hate her. But she's technically my cousin.
Oh, no.
She was pregnant and she was babysitting for a friend.
Oh, no.
They had... Their child wanted juice. Oh, it was milk. I'm sorry. It was milk.
Right.
And she said, well, we're going to have dinner soon. So you can have milk then. How about you just get water? And the kid being a child, and when I say child, I mean this kid was 3 years old.
Throws a bit of a tantrum. Like, no, I want the milk now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Want milk now. And she said, well, we're going to have dinner in like 15 minutes. So the kid goes to the fridge, opens it, and takes the milk out. What would you do?
Take the milk from the kid, reprimand them, maybe tell them no, wait until dinner, and then put it back.
That's not what my used-to-be cousin did.
She slapped the kid, didn't she?
Smashed the glass on the kid's face.
What the fuck?
Yep, she picked up the glass that the kid was going to use, smashed it on the kid's face, and then ground the glass into the kid's face.
What the actual hell?
The kid had to have several skin grafts, and there's still permanent scarring. She got a year in jail. Because she said...
She was pregnant?
She was pregnant, and she already had one child. She said it was due to the strain of being an inexperienced mother. My sister...
What the fuck?
My sister, who has no children, used to babysit all the time, and she never mangled children.
No, because if you're of sound mind... You're not going to fucking do shit like that.
It was 1 year of jail, and it was several years of probation. She couldn't be alone with her kids. Her boyfriend, now husband, had to be in the room.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah. So, for obvious reasons, I do not consider this person a relative. I wouldn't spit on them if they were on fire.
See, I guess that's why I'm really glad a lot of my female relatives, especially my mom and my aunt and, like, everyone else, they're of decently sound mind because, holy fuck, man. Like, I know, like, nobody ever has perfect parents, and I certainly know my parents weren't perfect, but my God, did they try. And, you know, sometimes it's hard to gauge when you can be a little, like, rougher with punishment with your kids. Not, like, beating them or anything, but, like, you know, like, really going to that, like, instead of grounding your kid for, like, a day or two, ground them for, like, a week or two, and, like, all that shit.
I was genuinely ungroundable. I was, because I didn't do anything.
Yeah, you were just
my
the
parents
quiet
would
kid
be like,
kept to himself, and, like...
My parents were like, you're grounded. I'm like, from what? My friends who I don't have over or go to their houses, my phone I don't have, my car I don't own, and they'd be like, go to your room.
Yeah.
Like, oh, my room with TV, cable, and with two gaming systems. Okay.
Yeah,
the horror.
Like, my sister ended up getting grounded and put on... My parents put us on restriction every once in a while. Like, they would set parental locks on, like, the TV, and, like... I've never learned how to do it. I'm going to learn someday when I have kids, but my dad used to put restrictions on my computer. So that I could only use the internet at certain times of the day. He could block specific websites that I would frequent if they weren't educational. And he could restrict every other program on my computer, so I couldn't even play so much as one video game on my PC. He took my TV, he set parental locks on every console that had the ability to do so, and would take my phone away the second he got home from work. And that went on for about 2 weeks.
Your
and then
sister was grounded a lot.
Oh, yeah. See, I remember once my sister straight up was like, why doesn't Eric ever get the same amount of punishment that I do? And they're like, because Eric likes to keep to himself, and the only problem we really have with him is that he doesn't push himself harder in school, and he's not as good a student as we could hope he would be, so sometimes we punish him for that. Other than that, your brother does literally nothing wrong, and it's always you.
Yeah.
Like, even my dad sided with that. He was like, yeah, no.
Yeah, there's...
I get the whole rebellious teen thing. I totally do, but...
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Fucking stop. And, like, I really hope none of my other siblings end up going through that same thing again, because I think my mom might just fucking snap.
Dude,
my mom or Leah or Chris, one of them will just fucking snap.
Your mom intrigues me sometimes. Like, you're gonna have a sibling that is 25 years younger than you.
Yeah.
You're gonna be they're gonna be graduating high school
By the time I'm in my 40s.
when you're in your 40s.
Yeah.
That's
I did
fucking weird.
I did the math on this. I'm gonna be at the very least 42 when she graduates high school.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have kids that are around her age.
Yeah.
By that point, they're gonna be calling her Auntie Violet.
Yeah.
Like that's fucking weird.
That is weird.
And like I don't really care too much because Violet's like the cutest fucking kid on the planet, and I love her to death. But like, it's such a weird concept because like, technically they're not my siblings because they're not blood related to me, but they are related to Violet because they're her half siblings. But I have 4 younger siblings. One is legally allowed to drink now. One is 10.
Mm-hmm.
She shares a birthday with me. One is 5 because he just turned 5 last week. One just turned a year old last month.
I have an older sister who's 3 years and 3 days older than me. 3 years and 3 days to the day.
That's weird.
My birthday's Halloween. Hers is November 3rd. So
Yeah,
3 years and 3 days. And I have younger brothers that are twins.
Yeah.
That are 6 years younger than me.
Listen, my mom had me when she was...
And if you listen to my father, I have a half-brother named Michael somewhere in the world, but...
Fuck. Yeah, the most I have is related by marriage. I have an aunt and uncle that live out in, I think, Kansas. They live somewhere out in the Midwest. And they have 2 daughters. So I have 2 cousins from them. And then my biological aunt, my mom's sister, has a son that she knew she was too young to take care of when she had him. So she put him up for adoption.
Mm-hmm.
And she still talks to the family. She still talks to her son like every once in a while, and like keeps up with them. And every year she gets a new picture of him from his birthday. He just turned 19 the other week.
Mm.
This kid looks so much like my aunt's, and he lives all the way out on the other end of the country. And I don't think there will ever come a day that I'll actually be able to meet him.
My dad's side of the family is... How do I put this? Fucked up. So, my dad was adopted like me.
Right.
His adoptive parents, the people who I grew up calling my grandparents, I love them very much. But he wanted to know about his birth parents. Turns out his birth mother was named Rose. She had him at 16. Does not know who his birth father is. He has no clue. And he got in touch with her when she was still alive, and he knows about them. He's known about them for many, 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 many years, but
Right.
he knows all of his birth siblings and whatnot, but he said, do any of you have any idea of who our dad is? And they said, well, we know who our dads are. You have a different dad than the rest of us. And so my dad, he says he doesn't care. He's like, I grew up calling the man I call my dad,
like the rest of his life.
He's like, I grew up with a dad. I love my dad, my grandfather. But he's like, but it's something I'd like to know. There was an Rose, his mother, passed away a couple of years ago. I forget exactly how long, but he's been trying to do some like detective work on finding his father, and they thought they found the guy. He met the guy. They talked. They took the test. Negative. Not him. Then he found a woman who she said, "I think you're my half-brother." And he's like, "Oh," and it was Emily.
Oh, shit.
So they meet up, they have lunch a couple times, like they really build like a brother-sister connection. She said, "Are you ready to meet my dad?" He goes, yeah. Yeah, I think so. They meet, and they finally do the test. Negative.
Oh.
So now, not only does he not know his father, but this woman, Emily, who he's thought for a very long time was his half-sister, they're not related at all. So that's hurtful.
Yeah, that's heartbreaking. That's awful.
And finally, there was one more man who they thought it would be, and he died. He passed away because this is according to him, when Grandma was 16, this guy was in his 40s.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah. So.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I was like,
That's according to Dad. So.
Yeah, I grew up with two full sets of grandparents and one grandmother for most of my life. All three sets of my grandparents are a husband or wife, and that's their second marriage. Like my maternal grandmother, her second marriage is with a man named Greg.
Hey.
Yeah. He was a university professor. He's a double amputee.
Oh, jeez.
He's diabetic. Wonderful man. That's my aunt and uncle who live out in Kansas. They're his daughter and her husband. Wonderful people. Absolutely wonderful. My paternal grandfather, his second marriage is to my grandmother, Darlene. Wonderful woman. Love her to death.
Mm-hmm.
She's amazing. So, like, I've known both of my paternal grandparents and their spouses.
Mm-hmm.
Their second marriages. My maternal grandfather had a wife before my grandma Kathy, who is his second wife. And I never got to meet my mom's birth mother, whose name was Rose.
Until
a few years ago.
You told me about that.
Like right about high school, give or take. I think it was like 14, 15.
You told me about that.
I don't remember much about that night. I remember my aunt coming by a week or two prior and being like, "Hey, I just got back in touch with our birth mom. Like, she wants to see us both and like meet up for dinner and catch up and like try and rekindle something. Would you be interested in that?" And my mom was like, "Yeah, absolutely. Let me talk to the kids. Let me talk to Peter, who's my dad. You know, like let me talk to the family, see if they want to go." My dad was like, "Nah, I'm good. I know your stepmom, and she is the grandmother to our kids, and I don't want to meet your actual birth mother." And so my sister and I go with my mom, and it's the three of us, my aunt, Rose, and her husband. I don't remember what this woman looks like for the life of me. I remember she was a little bit on the big side.
Yeah.
She was loud, she was obnoxious, and her husband skeeved me the fuck out. This guy looked so fucking sketchy, and I don't remember much about that night, but I remember my mom looking at my sister and I and going, "We are never talking to that woman again. We are never going to have contact with that woman again. As far as you're concerned, Kathy is your grandmother. That is the end of the story." And we're like,
"I'm cool with
that. Yeah,
that
sounds good." She was already my grandmother beforehand. I don't want to acknowledge Rose as my actual grandmother.
I had 3 sets of grandparents because my mom's parents,
right,
my father's parents, and my Bill,
yeah,
my dad's parents. And mom's parents, Gail and Roger, I was so close to them. I loved them so much, especially I mean, I love them both very much, but there was something about Grandpa Roger that I get a lot from him. Like, he was a very humorous man. He was very caring. He was very, like... He was very much so the, like, I'll give you my last dollar because you need it more than I do.
A very kind, gentle man.
Very, very, very. And he passed away. And that day was really, really hard. Lung cancer.
Yeah.
You know, because they grew up in the days when you smoked at, like, 11 and you just never stopped.
Yeah, pretty much. The day started, you lit up a cigarette and you didn't pull it out until you went to bed.
That's right. And then there was my father's parents, Mimi and Papa. I mean, it's funny because...
So do you still keep in contact with your biological grandparents, like on your dad's side, or...?
Well, Mimi passed away. Papa, I actually share a Halloween birthday with him.
Oh, shit!
Yeah, it's funny because my mom called up Papa after I was born, and she said, guess what we got you for your birthday? And he goes, mud flaps for my pickup? And she goes, no, we got you a grandson. He was born about an hour ago. And he goes, I told you I wanted mud flaps. And he hung up.
That's great.
He, of course, called right back and was like super elated, and he was super proud. And
that's wonderful.
I was called Hoover. Everybody in the family had a nickname, and I was Hoover because I would crawl on the floor like a Hoover vacuum, and I'd just put everything in my mouth. So I was Hoover.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So he called me that for many, many years. Very quiet, man.
Yeah.
He was that guy who, he sat in his chair, cigarette, remote,
right,
didn't say anything.
That was just how he lived.
That's how he lived. Yeah. He was that guy who had really callous hands, but he was...
Can't ask for much better than that, honestly.
Yeah, man. He's still alive.
Yeah.
But he, you know... and then there was the man I call my dad's parents, Bill. And he is my dad, but Grandma Donna and Grandpa Dwayne.
Right.
Grandpa
Dwayne. Nice.
He, it's funny, because he's another one of those really quiet guys, and him and Dad have kind of a weird past, but he can be a very funny guy. I remember once I walked up to his house, and I was like, what are you doing? He goes, oh, I'm burning brush. And I was like, oh, let me help you. And so we're piling all these dead trees onto this pile. He's trying to light it. And, like, it's going, but not very fast. And he goes, I have an idea. He walks into his garage, comes back with, like, a little black squirt bottle, no label.
Right.
And he, just, like, the tiniest little...
And he just goes...
Little sprit. It turns into an inferno. I'm like... What is that? And he goes, jet fuel!
What the fuck?
I'm like, how'd you get jet fuel? And he's like, yeah, if I told you, I'd have to kill you.
Fuck, man.
Yeah, Grandma, Donna, Dad's mom. Every year she offered to take me egging on my birthday, because Halloween.
Right.
She said, I'll take you egging. There's a few people I want to...
for a sec.
There's a few people I want to get. And don't worry if you get in trouble, I'll bail you out. Dad doesn't have to know. Dad and Grandpa have a weird history. It was 3 years ago. Grandpa came to visit for Christmas, and he has a lot of grandkids, so he could only stay for so long. But
right.
He gave us all our gifts. He gives Dad a hug, and then he leaves. And Dad is just standing in our mudroom. Just standing there. I'm like, Dad? Like, you cool? And he said, that's the first time your grandfather's hugged me in 18 years.
Holy shit.
The last time Grandpa hugged Dad was when my brothers were born. Because they just...
It's that feeling. It's that genuine emotion.
Well, that, but also, I guess, Grandpa was just kind of that, like...
No, he's not.
I don't need to say I love you. It's implied.
He's not a very affectionate man.
If he has emotions, he's not an expert at showing them.
Yeah.
He's like, I show my kids I love them by feeding them and giving them shelter and clothes.
Very old school style of...
Very old school.
Yeah.
Very.
I totally get that.
And so, Dad's not used to those kinds of shows of emotion, so it was a real treat for him.
Yeah, for a while, I don't know a lot of my family because a lot of us are very, very close and we don't have a lot of contact with each other. So, like, on my dad's side, the only other older relative I had than a grandfather was my great-aunt Ginny. Wonderful, absolutely wonderful woman. The taller I grew, the more I started making jokes that I could fit her in a backpack and just call her Yoda. Like, she was tiny. Like, I had her, and she died, oh god, I think like 3 years ago, give or take. Like, it was pretty recent. I visited her in the hospital when she came down with, like, a really bad sickness, and we all thought that, like, she was gonna pass from it. So we all took our chances to, like, see her one last time and, like, just have a good moment with her. And then she lived for another couple months.
Yeah.
But that was a sobering moment. And then I had a pair of great-grandparents on my mom's side, my grandfather's parents. And my grandfather and my great-grandfather had kind of a strained relationship with each other because my great-grandfather was a World War II vet.
Mm.
And he wrote an entire fucking memoir of his time in World War II.
Oh, damn.
That is not it. Where it's somewhere around here. But he wrote and printed 2 copies of it. The only other man in my family that had any sort of connection to my great grandfather because they were both in the military in a time of war was my dad.
Mm-hmm.
Not even his own flesh and blood, just my dad. Yeah. And my dad and my great grandfather would talk for hours about old war stories, like trading that shit back and forth and all that. And they had a genuine, like, kinship with each other. Yeah. So after a while, my grandfather finished up his memoir of being a fighter pilot in World War II, and he handed my dad 2 copies and went, "Here, one is for you, one is for Eric. Like, keep them safe. They're the only 2 copies in existence." And I think like a year or 2 later after that, my great grandmother died of stomach cancer. And what made it worse is that, like, her logic, which is pretty sound logic, it's pretty much the way I see it too, is I'm old as shit. I'm like in my 90s at this point, and I have stomach cancer. The idea that I could make it out of this alive is slim to none. So instead, I'm just going to let it run its course, and I'm just going to die surrounded by my family who loves me, and that's how I want to go. And I had no problem with that. Nobody else in the family had any problem with that. The problem was that she didn't fucking tell anybody. So we all found out that she had fucking stomach cancer, and she was dying from it on her fucking deathbed. We saw her the last day she was alive. I left the room, like my sister and I and a couple other kids left the room, and the next second we know, a bunch of our relatives come out, and like some of them are crying, some of them just look really sober, and they looked at me and they said, you know, your great grandma just passed, and I was like, fuck, okay. And then I think my great grandfather lived another couple years after that. I think he died at like 93, 94. Like, he lived a pretty old time. And I didn't hear about it from anybody except my mom, who called me on the phone and said, your great-grandfather just passed. And, oh, you know what?
So,
what pisses me off, our mutual acquaintance, his fucking cat pissed on a box.
Oh, Nirvana. Yeah.
I was devastated that day. I was packing my stuff up so that way I can move out of my old place and move into the apartment with my ex. And I had a box outside of my bedroom that was closed and it was protected and it was fine. Full of a lot of Dad's old books. His entire Dune series. Everything. That fucking cat had a vendetta against mine. And would constantly spray everything in the hallway to show him, yeah, fucker, try and get out of here. I'm gonna mess you up. And our mutual acquaintance never believed that. He never believed that his cat had it out for mine.
Mm-hmm.
So I looked in that box, and almost every single book, actually no, every single book, every Dune book my dad ever owned was fucking destroyed because of this cat. And included in that was both copies of my grandfather's memoir. So I've taken it upon myself. Yep. Stained every page. I've taken it upon myself at this point to rewrite my grandfather's memoir. And I have an old envelope full of every picture that he put in this book. I'm going to scan those pictures, and I'm going to rewrite this book, and I'm going to print out another copy of it for myself. And it's going to be...
If it's not too much trouble, I'd like one.
Absolutely, yeah.
Cool.
It's a super sobering read. Like, it starts with, like, his experience in that pre-World War II era. Like, everyone knew that, like, Germany was on the rise, and, like, the war was starting overseas. And my grandfather signed up to join the army. He didn't expect to get in, but he signed up anyway because he wanted to do his part for God and country.
Yeah.
And he got in, and he went through the training, and he became a gunner for the air regiment, and he was shot down over Germany and taken to a concentration camp during the last few months of the war.
Oh shit!
Like, I think it was a few months or maybe like a year or so, and he made a lot of friends there, and you know, a lot of them ended up dying, and it was fucking sobering. Like, his dying wish was that he never wanted this book to be published, which is a real fucking shame. Because, honestly, if it wasn't for the fact that it would go against my family's wishes, I would publish this book. People need to learn more about their history in any aspect that they can, and even learning it from people who lived through those experiences, learning that shit firsthand from a different set of eyes, that is a whole new experience to learning about this horrible time in world history.
Well, there's going to be a day when the last person who was in World War II dies, and you lose, like, yeah, there's movies and there's documents and there's documentaries, but you lose that level of I'm trying to find the right word, but that personal experience.
Yeah, exactly. Like, straight up, Germany's rise to power pre-World War II was 80 years ago.
Yeah.
That shit happened 80 years ago.
If you were a fresh 18-year-old, you're pushing 100 now, which is, I mean...
Yeah. You're pushing 100 or over 100, and if that's the case, goddamn, what is the secret to your long life? Because I want to know.
Seriously.
Like, my fucking great-grandmother, actually, my paternal grandmother's great-grandmother was super close with my dad. And for years, ever since my great-great-grandmother turned 80, my dad, like, this was even before I was born, like, he would wait for that, because my great-great-grandmother had dementia. She suffered from dementia from the age of, like, 60-something, right? This woman, you can tell she's a warden, because she's fucking stubborn. She's too stubborn to die. This fucking woman...
I'm sorry to laugh.
No, it's okay. This fucking woman battled dementia for 40 fucking years and got progressively worse to the point that my dad was waiting for a phone call every day to hear that she died just so he could go, oh, thank God.
I'm picturing...
She died after he did. She died at 103.
Damn.
She was born when the Titanic sank.
I'm picturing Cotton Hill from King of the Hill. He's like, I saw the Grim Reaper. I spat in his eye and said, I ain't going.
Yeah, no, pretty much. That's how this woman was. And I met her maybe twice in my life. Once was when I was little. When I first moved up here. I think I was like 8 or 9, right? That was when I first met her. And it was a fine experience. She wasn't as far gone as she was later on in life. And then when it hit, when I was 12, And I remember that because that was the summer that The Deathly Hallows came out, the book. My grandparents took us out to Tennessee where they lived, and we got to visit them for a week. We got to go to a baseball game, which was boring as shit. And like we didn't really do much because both my grandparents are diabetic and can't move around a lot. But it was still a fun experience overall. And on the way back up, we stopped by her nursing home to see her, and we waited out outside the door while my grandmother and grandfather went to visit her great grandma. And that was the one and only time I've ever seen my grandma Barb cry when she left that room, because she couldn't even remember her own great granddaughter's face. How heartbreaking do you think that is to have a relative that doesn't remember who you are?
That's the thing. If my parents, either of them, develop such things, like dyslexia or
like
Alzheimer's, dementia or Alzheimer's, it's like, I already know at 20, soon to be 8, that if I visit my mom or my dad one day and they ask me who I am, it will destroy me. Like, I won't come back from it. Cause
that was the biggest fear, is that my
dad, Bill, and his girlfriend, they had plans where they said, so you and your brothers are going to take over the house, and me and his girlfriend are going to move to, they were thinking, North Carolina, and just start new. Yeah. Start new. Yeah, get new jobs and live their lives.
That sounds like a nice plan.
And it's no longer happening because I came home one day and Dad's sitting on the table, sitting at the kitchen table, and he looks somber. What's up with you? He goes, me and Nancy got a 1-2 punch today. I'm like, what's that? And he goes, Nancy just got told that her dad is going blind.
Oh.
It's not like he'll just wake up and not be able to see, but like his vision will slowly get more and more fuzzy until he can't see anymore.
Right.
And Dad found out that Grandpa Dwayne has dementia. So
that means that there's a massive risk that if your grandfather has biological kids on his end, that means that there's a potential risk they could develop that same thing.
Well, the only biological child I was aware of on his side was my Aunt Sue, and she's already dead, so...
Oh, so that's not too big a risk then.
But like you said, Dad, with Grandpa having dementia...
you don't want to leave your family in that horrible time.
Dad might eventually have to deal with, who are you?
Yeah. Honestly, that's the one thing I hope never happens in my family, because I know my great-great-grandmother had it. I don't know so much about my great-grandmother, but my grandmother has shown no signs of dementia. And my dad probably wouldn't have either, so I think I'm relatively safe. Also, I call it the Warden curse. Unless you're lucky, there's no Warden male in existence outside of very few that have lived past the age of like 63.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's always something. It's usually some sort of genetic thing or, poor diet. So, like, congenital heart failure, stuff like that. Like, my dad.
Both sides of my genetic family have a long history of diabetes, and I drink soda like it's fucking water.
Yeah.
And I get worried sometimes, and it's like, I could eat better, but does Pepsi and frozen pizza taste good? I have a potential chance. Diabetes isn't genetic in my family. Every person who's had diabetes has had type 2, not type 1. So, like, unless I have a really shit diet for the rest of my life, I'm probably not going to get diabetes. But very few people on both sides of my family have died of brain aneurysms. And my paternal grandmother, has arthritis. So there is a potential chance that one of those things could happen to me. And I'd rather spend the rest of my life with hands that are in constant pain than just not
being conscious one day because my brain just decided to fucking quit.
Mm.
I would rather have aching joints in my hands for the rest of my life than just suddenly die at the breakfast table because my brain just went quitting time and just shuts down.
At least that's fast.
It is. Sometimes people survive aneurysms and it fucks them up. And that's my even worse fear, is that I don't die and I end up getting fucked up.
My dad had a stroke at 40. Like, I was living with Mom at the time, because I tried living on my own, didn't work out. She had rum. So, I'm living with Mom, and she is banging on my door. Like, it's unlocked, Mom! She comes in, crying. Because just because you're divorced doesn't mean you stop caring about that's still her children's father.
I mean, straight up, when my dad passed, we called Mom, and the first thing she did was she rushed over. She like fucking ran over here, over to my house, pretty much, and just stayed with us.
Yeah. That
whole day, and like made sure that everything was fine and everything was okay, and that like we were doing all right. Because my mom and dad had a messy 20-year marriage, but ultimately, I don't think my mom hated my dad for anything he did. It's just the love was honestly never really there to begin with.
Yeah. And Mom said, "Your dad's in the hospital. He had a stroke."
Christ.
And we couldn't go visit him because he's in getting scanned and
exactly.
all that.
Like until they tell you otherwise, it's like you're just waiting.
Yeah, and you hear those stories of like they can't use the whole left side of their body anymore, or they become incontinent, or so we're just going through like every possible. And Dad's girlfriend was there, and I said, "What happened?" And she said, we were watching TV, and your dad went to use the bathroom, and he was in there for a really long time, longer than he usually is, and I said, "Babe, you cool?" And he didn't answer. So a little louder, I said, "Babe, you alright?" He didn't answer. And I opened the door, and he was lying on the floor. And my dad is a volunteer fireman and a volunteer EMT. He's been one for 25 years.
Oh, God.
So when his girlfriend called 911, it was literally his friends that showed up. So imagine you show up at my house and I'm lying on the ground unresponsive, and it's your job to take care of me.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, straight up, like...
But and it worries me even more because once he came to, he's 100% okay, by the way.
Oh, good.
No muscle loss, no anything. You would never be able to tell he had one. And
so your dad's extremely lucky.
Very lucky. And after he came to, and they did all the screening, and they did all the testing, and Dad said, "What gave me a stroke?" They said, "We don't know." What do you mean you don't know?
Sometimes it just happens.
And they said, "We have run every test there is on people who've had strokes. You have no clots. You have no blockages. You have no anything." He's like, "Are you telling me that at a perfectly healthy 40 years old, I had a stroke for no reason?" And they said, "Yeah."
Fuck.
They said at most it was stress-induced.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
And so then when I talk to Dad, it really changed him. Not in terms of, attitude or who he is as a person, but before that, or I should say after that, he really took a hold of the mindset of like, I have one chance at this.
Yeah.
Like
a potentially fatal encounter in your life can drastically shift how you view everything.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Because he was kind of a homebody before, right. And now he's like, I'm gonna go jeeping and I'm gonna go fishing the salmon run in New York.
He's gonna live his life to the fullest.
Yeah, I mean, he was gonna move to North Carolina and just start again, but then
yeah.
Then Grandpa and his girlfriend's mom, and it's
a scary idea. It's a scary thought. Like,
I'm gonna say something a little. I'm not even sure what to call it.
Alright.
I am 27. I am almost 28. I mean, I'm a little chunky. But,
Yeah, we both are.
But as far as, like diseases or conditions or whatever, I'm completely healthy.
Also, I mean, thanks to your job, you pretty much eat right all the time just because you guys cook some good shit.
I mean, we cook good shit, but we don't get to eat very much of it. I eat once a day, and yesterday I didn't eat. So I'm at 48 hours without food right now.
Well, I'll tell you what, after this, we'll head over to Athens. I'll buy dinner.
Oh, I can buy my own
Nah,
dinner.
dude, you're fine. I can buy dinner.
Well, thank you. But anyway, I'm on the south side, but I'm still in my 20s.
Yeah.
I think about the day I die every day.
Yeah,
And
because
it
it reaches a point where like you realize where you're at in life, and you think, oh God.
I see my dad who has a stroke at 40. Dad is the pinnacle of health. Okay, he's never smoked a day in his life. He has like a beer a month. Never done drugs. Never does anything.
Oh, so we're talking Bill, right?
Bill.
Yeah. I've met your dad.
He's a gym rat. I mean, he's just...
Yeah, your dad's a big dude.
My dad...
Your dad terrified me when I stayed the night at your place, like, on night.
My dad bench pressed 465 pounds, and his spotter wasn't doing his job. He brought down 465 pounds on the crest of his collar, or his... Where is it where your ribs meet?
Your I think it's called the clavicle?
Clavicle.
The clavicle?
Yeah, he brought down 465 pounds with momentum, maybe 480, on his clavicle, cracked it. Just cracked it. Went to the hospital.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's not your clavicle. That's your sternum.
Sternum. That's it. Yes. Yep. Sternum.
I don't know my anatomy.
Brought down nearly 500 pounds on his sternum. Went to the hospital. The doctors said, don't lift more than 5 pounds. Don't bend over super far. Stay at home for the next month. Dad fucking took an Advil and went to work the next day. He's a propane technician. He like crawls under houses. He lifts like heavy tanks all day.
Jesus Christ.
And I said, Dad, how come you didn't do what the doctor said? You didn't stay home and lie on the couch and recuperate and just collect, workman's comp. And he goes, because I didn't fucking have to, and I'm not a pussy. Like, that's Dad.
I was saying, your dad would rather put himself in more bodily harm than just stay at home because the doctor...
He's like, I took an Advil. I'm like, you broke your chest. He's like, yeah, I took an Advil. It's fine.
And
And then there's me, where I'm like, I'm gonna die any day, and I'm only 27.
I was like, I'm 24. I'm nearing the midway point in my 20s. And so far, the only claim to fame I really have in my life is that I haven't died yet. Because, like... I have friends who care about me. I have family who loves me, and I'm poor, but I'm not like dirt poor. I
have an apartment.
I own an apartment by myself. I can pay my internet. I can pay for all my fun little services like PlayStation Plus and Disney Plus and HBO and Amazon. And like, I can pay for all that. I can feed myself regularly. It's not necessarily good food. Like, it's not food I can make myself, but I can feed myself. Like, I look at it and I go, you know what? I could have it a hell of a lot worse than I already do. And right now, I'm trying to make a better change in my life because I've really started to buckle down in my free time when I feel the chance to get up to it. And I've picked back up on writing my book.
Yeah.
Like, my goal is to finish that book by, like, the end of next year. I want to have it finished to the point that I like it. I'll edit it and everything. And then my next step is I'm going to mail it to every single publisher that I possibly can and see if any of them will take it. Because I'm going to be brutally honest here. I'm the definition of an amateur writer. I'm not an English major. I'm not a lit major. I like to read for fun. I know what good storytelling is, and I know how to make things relatable and real in terms of dialogue and scenario and all of that. Writing is a little more difficult because coming up with the right way to phrase something is extremely hard.
It is.
But god fucking damn it, if 50 Shades of Grey can not only get published, but get 2 expansions, 2 more books
and
out of it,
movies.
and a fucking movie deal, 3 movies.
Oh, fuck.
All three got adapted. If it can get 3 books, 3 movies, and make a buttload of money for this woman who doesn't know how to write for shit, my fucking BDSM romance book can blow that fucking series out of the goddamn water.
Get that kink money.
Get that kink money.
I am the simp king.
Like, worst case scenario, I put it up for digital release on Amazon or something. Huh. There's a lot of books like that on Amazon, and people will eat that shit up. And I could still make not a fuck ton of money off of it, but I could probably make a good amount of money off of just releasing it digitally.
Yeah.
But my goal is to actually get it picked up by a publisher, so that way I can, like, have a book deal. Because then, you know, my life would be fucking fantastic. I'd have, like, this is all just dreams and aspirations at this point, but, like, my name would be a New York bestseller name. I would go on, like, book tours around the world and meet fans who enjoy my smut. Movie companies could be lining up and being like, yo, we want to turn your thing into a movie. And I have very few requirements for if that book became a movie. I am executive producer on the project. I am also the consultant. And every single update made to that adaptation goes through me. And if I don't like it, they change it. Mm-hmm. Because I am not having my dream, I'm not having my vision of my story be butchered by Hollywood because they want to make it more marketable to a wider audience.
Until they slide you that check that has 7 digits on it.
Oh no, even then. My integrity as an artist will trump whatever money they can give me. Like, that is my wish. Like, if my main character in the book is gonna be like this, not chunky, but very, like, you know, curvy, kind of thick Hispanic woman. Short, Hispanic, not a traditional body type. Not a marketable body type by Hollywood standards. That's why her best friend is a supermodel looking white woman. Because you can cast the best friend in that role, no problem. I don't give a shit. I don't even care if she's not blonde. She could be a brunette, she could be a redhead, I don't care. The main character has to be a short Latina that's a little bit on the curvy side. Because I'm trying to show an aspect of BDSM culture that is not seen in most media, and that's that BDSM is something that can bring together people of all different shapes and sizes.
It's not just white models fucking other white models.
Like, the male character of the book is not going to be some six-pack, washboard ab, like, pretty boy. He's going to be a painfully average-looking dude that frequents the gym, you know, like, he goes to the gym, like, 4 or 5 times a week. He works out a couple hours a day. And, you know, he eats right most of the time, but sometimes he just says fucking. He orders a large pizza and he just fucking eats it by himself.
I want the fat neck beard. Give me the fat neck beard. Give me, Eric. Give me.
Actually.
Oh, doing the clap hands.
I was gonna make just a better version of 50 Shades of Grey and have the main character be like a... not Christian Grey levels of wealthy, but like significantly wealthy man. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna make the main character a fucking nerd. Nice. And she's gonna frequent this comic book shop that's owned by this guy who has it pretty well, and he's probably... and like, he knows his stuff, and it's gonna be more relatable to people who aren't white supermodels.
Yeah.
It's gonna be about 2 nerds falling in love through their love of mutual, like, nerdiness and kinky sex. And it's gonna be amazing. I still have to incorporate the rich white guy in there somewhere, though. And I'm gonna do that. He's gonna be the second suitor. He's gonna look at her and be like, damn, I could get with that. And she's gonna be like,
she's like, what's the home planet of the Wookiees?
Nah.
And he's like, I don't know. And she's like, fuck out of here.
Actually, I have a really good idea for the second book already. It's gonna be more about like, because like I'm gonna have it set up in 3 arcs essentially for their relationship. The start goal is that they're gonna meet. They're gonna hang out for a bit, go on a few dates, like build that relationship up, and that's where the book's pretty much gonna end. Is where they reach a good point in their relationship that like they're happy, they're content. And I can start the second book from there. The second book is where I push their relationship, like, heavily. So, like, all new scenarios start popping up. Their mental state changes because, like, one tragedy happens to one of them, one tragedy happens to another. It starts bringing up a lot of, like pain and stuff like that. And it's going to reach a really low point. But also, I'm going to test some new shit with their sexual relationship, too. Because I'm pretty sure you can already tell who's gonna be the dom sub in that relationship, right? Yeah. I'm gonna have them switch for one scene.
Oh my god.
Just to really just like showcase again more aspects of BDSM culture that nobody really looks into much. Right? And then the third book's the end game. Third book is, I'm straight up gonna say it right now. The second book is gonna end with them breaking up and like going on a break for like 5 or 6 months. Honestly, like the third book is gonna pick up 6 months later. Their lives have been completely changed, but yet there's still that like hint of love for each other that they wish they could tell the other about, so that way they can rekindle it and like rebuild their relationship from that. And then the end game of the third book is that they're gonna be married and have a happy life.
There you go.
It's gonna be a whole trilogy about these two people and their relationship that is centered on mutual understanding and love for each other and what they love and don't love, and also kinky sex. And also kinky sex.
Because that's what we're here for.
Because nobody reads smut for the story for the most part, but god damn it, if I'm not gonna make that story really fucking good, it's gonna build up immensely.
People are gonna say I read it for the plot, unironically.
I made it through 100-something pages of 50 Shades of Grey before the first actual sex scene came up, and guess what? With the little exception of certain lines of dialogue from Anna's perspective, because the inner goddess shit happens a lot.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's really bad. E.L. James, really good at writing sex scenes. Like, she's good at that, and I was a little impressed, honestly. And then the contract happened, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why do you do that?
Why are you doing this?
Why are you doing this? Alright. Yeah. Oh, holy fuck.
Yep, we're at 3 hours. So
woo! It's been a while since we've been 3 hours.
If you're still here, you're a trooper.
Yeah, right? I'm pretty sure our second podcast was like almost 3.5, so
yeah,
we're just hitting that. Alright, so yeah, it's 8 o'clock. I'm hungry. Are you hungry?
I haven't eaten in 2 days. I'm hungry.
You're hungry. So after we stop this, we should definitely get something to eat. But yeah, so this week, for the comic book recommendation of the week.
Penthouse Magazine. It's a lot like Playboy, only there's a lot less reading. It's a lot more visual art. It also gets a tad more graphic than Playboy does, and I think for the more, what's the term I'm looking for? The more passionate reader.
So for people who actually still read porno magazines instead of looking up their porn for free like normal people, I mean, you got that.
All right, well, I'll go fuck myself then.
What, do you still buy Penthouse?
No, but, I mean, look for your dad's porn stash.
What porn stash? My dad doesn't have a porn
Not
stash.
yours, like our listeners. Like, your dad has a porn stash somewhere. Under the bed.
It's the modern age. We have porn folders on our laptops.
In the attic, in the basement. Look for it.
So anyway, the recommendation of the week.
And then tweet Eric all the porn you find.
because we talked for like an hour about family stuff. I'm actually seriously going to recommend Mr. Miracle by Tom King. Mr. Miracle is the best story for any new god in the DC universe ever written, and I will have nothing of it because the new gods don't get enough love. And it's a really, really good book that handles hard-hitting topics like depression and PTSD and the shit that comes from it. Like one of the first images you see in the book outside of a quick synopsis of who Mr. Miracle is Mr. Miracle on his bathroom floor with both of his wrists slit open.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's the first image of the first issue is Mr. Miracle with his wrists cut open because he's trying to kill himself.
Ugh. It's
some really sad shit, but there's a lot of themes and dynamics that deal with family, especially because Mr. Miracle is the son of Highfather, the lord of the New Gods. And to end a war between New Genesis and Apocalypse, he was given to Darkseid to raise as Darkseid's child. And Darkseid's son Orion was given to Highfather. So like there's a bit of that dynamic going on because Darkseid is his adopted dad. Highfather's his real dad, and Orion has to deal with that too. And there's a lot of discussions about the importance of family and being a family, making a family, who your family is. There's a lot of discussions of theology as well and how that kind of ties into the whole thing. Because essentially New Gods are like DC's Asgardians, for the most part. They're a completely separate breed of people, and it's a fantastic book, and it's got amazing art by Mitch Gerads, who does a stellar job with everything, and it's a really hard-hitting book, but it's one of my favorite comics of all time, and I heavily, heavily recommend that everybody read Mr. Miracle. It is a book you will not regret picking up. It's fan-fucking-tastic.
All right, so Mr. Miracle and Penthouse are the weekly recommendations.
Sooner or later, you're gonna run out of porn magazines to list.
You underestimate my power.
Oh, do I? Do I? All right. So this is Talkin' Shop signing off. I'm Eric, the Law Warden.
I'm Greg Tittles Muzzy.
And until next time, read some comic books, jerk off, try and live through this epidemic, and most of all, just have fun.
Have fun, baby.
Until next time, we'll see y'all later.
See